Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, March 1st, 2015. This is episode 1166. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? With ZipRecruiter.com, you can post to 50-plus job sites, including social networks, all with a single click. Screen, rate, and hire the right candidates fast. Try ZipRecruiter with a free 4-day trial right now at ZipRecruiter.com/TechGuy. That's ZipRecruiter.com/TechGuy. And by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your used gadgets. Find out what your used iPhone, iPad, or other Apple product is worth at Gazelle.com. And by FreshBooks, the easy-to-use invoicing software designed to help small business owners save time billing and get paid faster. Join over 5 million users running their business with ease with FreshBooks. Try it free at freshbooks.com/techguy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk about computers and the internet and home theater and smartphones and digital photography. Chris Marquardt, our photo guy, joins us next hour, about half past the hour, to talk about cameras and stuff. And well, I'm so glad you're here. We've got lots to talk about. The phone number, 8888 Ask Leo, 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. If you're outside those areas, that's okay. You could just use Skype and still call us. We have listeners all over the world, thanks to the internet. Big week. Lots to talk about. I hardly know where to begin. Apple sent out invitations to an event March 9th in San Francisco, clearly announcing it's going to be the Apple Watch announcement. Details, we'll finally learn pricing, availability, features of the Apple Watch. So that's a week from Monday. That's exciting. No, I didn't get an invitation. Apple doesn't invite me to these things. But that's okay, because they're going to stream it live. So you don't need an invitation. Apple's going to stream that live. This was also the week that the Federal Communications Commission voted 3-2 along party lines to reclassify broadband providers as telecommunications company, giving them the ability to regulate. This has been a problem, of course. The FCC has tried to regulate internet service providers and has been thwarted by lawsuits. Verizon said, you can't regulate us. You have no right to regulate us. And the courts agreed. Court said, well, FCC, you can only do what Congress says you can do. And as long as you do not declare, this was a little hint, the court said, as long as you do not declare these broadband providers to be telecommunications companies, FCC had been categorizing them as information companies, then you can't regulate them. They're outside your purview. Just as, for instance, the radio show that we're doing right now is regulated by the FCC. Congress explicitly gave them that permission. But the podcast of the radio show is not, because it's an information service. It's on the internet. It's not regulatable. Congress could pass a law saying, oh, and by the way, FCC, you can also regulate podcasts, but they haven't. So the court pointed out to the FCC, you can't regulate these guys unless you call them a telecommunications company. Then you can, because Congress has explicitly, in the Telecommunications Acts of 1934, yes, 1934 and 1996, has explicitly said telecommunications, that's well within your purview, FCC. So after considerable debate and 4 million comments to the FCC website, the vast majority of which urging the FCC to act, the FCC voted on Thursday to reclassify broadband service providers as telecom companies. There's been a lot of hand-wringing from people who say, oh, no, it's the end of the internet as we know it. But I think it's worth a try. Let's put it that way. It's worth a try. Because the system we were unregulated, these big telcos, and they are telcos like Verizon and AT&T, and cable companies like Comcast have done nothing nothing to encourage our trust. Look, they're companies that are designed to make money, and they're going to act completely appropriately as a business to increase their profit and their revenue. And one way to do that is to double dip, to charge us for access to the internet and charge internet content companies for access to us. The so-called fast lane prioritization. If you would like extra special good access to our customers, you better pay us extra. And they've started doing that. Believe me, they have started doing that, as Netflix will be quick to tell you. Both Verizon and Comcast have come hat in hand and said, look, Netflix, you want to have high-speed internet to our customers, it's going to cost you. Well, now they can't. They very explicitly cannot. They don't like that too much. Of course, I understand a lot of people nervous that the government would get involved, but you know what? The government is us. I hate to tell you. I know this isn't a popular point of view, but in fact, it's we the people. And so if you put it that way, should we the people be able to tell the big telecom companies, in this case, you can't maximize for profit at our expense? Yeah, I think we can. Now, if the FCC overreaches, well, then we'll have a conversation. But I think this is a good thing, and I'm very glad they did it. Steve Wozniak, the founder of Apple Computer, was in the audience and was thrilled, as are most of the tech companies, by the way. Google, Microsoft, Facebook, Apple all wanted this reclassification. Intel didn't. I'm not sure why not, but Intel didn't. And, of course, a lot of people who are beholden to the telcos and the cable companies aren't too happy about it, because neither are the telcos. They're going to sue, by the way. They've already said, hey, we're going to court. Okay. I think in this case the court said, if you have the right to do this if you were only to call them telecom companies. So they have. So that happened this week. And then just a couple of hours ago, Samsung made some big announcements. So the Mobile World Congress is going on right now in Barcelona, Spain. This is a great event every year. The smartphone manufacturers go there to announce their new products. HTC today announced the next version, the third version of the HTC One. Looks very similar. The design language has not changed much, but a better camera, for instance, a 20-megapixel camera. A lot of the companies now are going to do, and HTC's done this, better selfie cams. All of a sudden they said, oh, you know what, people, it's not just for Skype. People want that front-facing camera for selfies. So Samsung is taking what was their back camera, their 5-megapixel camera, not Samsung, HTC, taking what was the back camera and putting it on the front. So a 5-megapixel selfie camera on the HTC One and a 20-megapixel back camera. Samsung just had concluded their event announcing the new Samsung Galaxy S6. And I know there are a lot of people who are interested in that. Samsung is the #1 selling Android phone. With a little exception, the S5, last year's phone, did not sell well, at least compared to Samsung's expectations. So they went back to the drawing board. What do they call it? Relentless innovation? Something like that. And they've created a beautiful phone. There's two versions of the S6. One looks a little bit like the old S5, but with a nicer metal frame and a prettier back and more colors. But they also will do the Samsung Galaxy Edge with a beautiful curved glass frame. So it's kind of my friend Andy Anako likened it to an infinity pool. It kind of just goes off. And it does look quite beautiful. Also improving the camera, not more megapixels in this case, but optical image stabilization and a very fast f1.9 lens and a very high quality camera for the selfies. We're going to see that everywhere. Samsung took aim at Apple. iPhone is often considered the best camera phone out there, and showed side-by-side comparisons of both stills and videos. And according to Samsung's pictures, no surprise, the Galaxy S6 looked a lot better than the iPhone 6 Plus. So we'll watch. It's a 5.1-inch screen, very high pixel density. They've increased the resolution even farther. Anything over 300 pixels per inch, the eye can't really resolve. This one's 577 pixels per inch. It's high quality. So this will come out. They've announced in the United States on all 4 major carriers plus U.S. Cellular. April 10th, they did not announce prices. In some ways, for most of us, it's not for Samsung to announce the prices, for the carrier to tell us what we're going to pay to upgrade. And usually that's in the $200 to $300 range. I would expect that. One thing people are a little disappointed with, Samsung, which for the longest time, they were kind of the last holdout for a phone that you could pop off the back, put a new battery in if you wanted to, have two batteries. You wouldn't have to worry about running out. Also, an SD card. It will not support, the new S6 will not support either SD cards or interchangeable batteries. But they have a lot of storage, up to 128 gigs of storage, so I don't think that's too bad. And the charge times are much reduced. Maybe it's okay. Hey, let's take your calls. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Our show today brought to you by ZipRecruiter. If you're in this is not everybody does this, but if you're one of the people who's responsible for hiring, if you own a small business or you're the HR department for your company, you know that these job boards now have really simplified your life. It's a lot easier to find somebody. But there are a lot of job boards, and each of them has strengths in different areas, and some of them are better than others for certain kinds of jobs. How do you know which one to use? Well, I recommend ZipRecruiter.com. It's not a job board. It lets you post to 50-plus job boards with a single click of the mouse, including social networks like Facebook and Twitter and Craigslist. This is the way to hire. More than 250,000 companies, including ours, have received more than 15 million candidates through ZipRecruiter's interface. Posting your job in one place is just not going to do it. You need to post it on all the top job sites. And now you can find candidates in any industry, anywhere in the country. Just post once. Your qualified candidates, what's great? You don't get phone calls and emails. They roll right into ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface, where you can rate them, screen them, and hire the right person fast. And with ZipRecruiter's premium traffic boost, you can get up to 3 times more candidates. Find out why ZipRecruiter is so popular with so many businesses. You can try it right now for free, plus a 30% reduction in your first traffic boost. All you got to do is go to ZipRecruiter.com/techguy. ZipRecruiter, Z-I-P, recruiter.com/techguy. And we thank ZipRecruiter, not only for helping us find the right hires fast, but for supporting the Tech Guy podcast. ZipRecruiter.com/techguy. And it's 70%. Well, he's still talking, isn't he? What is with the flags? These are the Welsh flags. Just be glad I'm not wearing a leek hat. It's St. David's Day. I don't know what it means, but we have Welsh supporters. and he was the Welsh Bishop of Maneva during the 6th century. He's the patron saint of Wales. And so St. David's Day is apparently a big holiday, and you eat cakes and stuff. So we have some friends, some Welsh developers who are friends. They're actually going to be by on Tuesday again. They have iPad apps, Marshmallow, and they sent me a whole Welsh care package, including some Wales tea towels. And here's the song if you want to sing along. Hen walad fi nadu. All right. It's not Wales, W-H-A-L-E-S, no. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. The phone ranger is in the house. Heather Hammond doing her job. You got a big Welsh flag behind you, too.
I do.
Happy St. David's Day.
Happy St. David's Day to you, too, Leo, and everyone in the world.
I hadn't heard a thing about St. David's Day until a few days ago when I got a big care package from fans in Wales, and they sent me all the stuff.
I'm always up for a party, so any excuse.
You want to wear the leek hat?
Yes, where did that go?
It's a giant leek, and then I have a giant buttercup hat. You could wear the buttercup hat if you want.
Sweet.
Apparently, leeks, the vegetable, and buttercups are somehow associated with Wales. So Heather's been gathering her phone calls while she may.
I don't have a David yet, but if you are named David and you're having a technological crisis
We'd
or
give
you want
you
to know what's
priority.
up, I will, push
It's
you
your
to the head
name
of the
day.
line.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, let's talk to Carlos in Hemet.
Carlos in Hemet. Hi,
Leo!
Hey!
Happy St. David's Day.
Thank you, Carlos.
Anyway, I have a crystal ball question for you, two really quick. And the first one is, I'm a dedicated Android Galaxy user, and I upgraded my S5 from Sprint, of course I still have Sprint on another phone, to the Galaxy Note 4, which I really like. And
Yeah, I did the same thing. The S5 was underwhelming to me, but the Note 4 to me, it's the phone I carry around. I just love it.
yeah, I love it. So my question is, I usually get root access and flash ROMs and do a few things with it. And
Right.
Verizon has the bootloader lock.
Yeah.
And I noticed that there are other Note 4s out there in different countries and different variants that the bootloader is unlocked. How long am I going to have to wait? I have a retail version, and I don't want to buy a developer's version.
Yeah, so let me explain kind of what you're trying to do to folks who say, what is he talking about? Most people just leave their phone as is. They don't mess with it. It comes with what it comes with. If Samsung or Verizon decides to update it, then you'll get a message and you'll update it. And you'll leave it at that. However, there are those hobbyists, and Android really lends itself to this, who like to do more. They want to tinker. Google's Android operating system is designed for tinkering. It's based on Linux. It has a Java engine on top of it. You can do things, for instance, on an iPhone, you have to jailbreak it to use apps from other sources than Apple. On a Android phone, all you do is go in the settings and you check a box, and suddenly you can get apps anywhere. So you don't need to jailbreak it. But many people like to root it, which means they want full access to all the files. Why would you root it? Well, some apps require rooting, backup apps, things like that. You may also want to change the firmware, what boots up the operating system. And on many Android phones, there are other variants of Android you could use on them. But to do that, to get root access, you need to unlock the bootloader. And unfortunately, while Android... And Google's even said this, we want people to be able to root the phone. If they're sophisticated enough to root it, go for it. If they know what they're doing, because rooting is, a little risky, because you have all power, means you can make the phone unusable. But if you're smart enough to root it, they figure, well, you'll be smart enough not to brick it. But that carriers don't necessarily go along with it. And some carriers say, well, our fear is if you root it, you might put tethering apps on there and things that kind of end around how we want you to use the phone. Verizon charges you, for instance, for tethering, and they don't want you to use a tethering app that will get around that. Tethering is using your smartphone as a Wi-Fi device for other devices. So I think that's why Verizon locks it. For unlocking and rooting Android phones, there is really one great resource. That's the XDA developers website. Have you been there?
Yes, I certainly have, and there's a bounty for anyone who will unlock Verizon bootloader.
Well, there you go. Samsung is kind of not, by the way, completely favorable for rooting anyway. If you get an international Samsung device, an unlocked device, which I usually do, this is an unlocked device that I got. I think it's the Korean version of the phone. It won't use a Snapdragon chip as the U.S. versions do. It'll use Samsung's own Exynos chip. And in fact, that's even more locked down in some cases. They have some software on there to monitor if you're changing the firmware, things like that. So I would always go to xda-developers.com and keep an eye on it. That's when you'll find out whether somebody's, unlocked an Android phone on Verizon and on any Android phone. XDA is great. They'll give you instructions, the software, and all that stuff.
It seems as though I may have to wait almost a year in order for that to happen.
You may never be able to. I've had Galaxy phones that I could never root.
Oh no! Well, okay.
Well, no, I got to say it's not the end of the world. I haven't rooted my Note 4. I use it as is, and it's great.
Yeah, I like to put another kernel on it, speed up the little processor at certain times because there's a lag there
Right.
based on how I use it and other things like that.
Well, that's one thing Samsung was at great pains to announce today is that we are really aware of this. We've listened to you. We heard people complain about TouchWiz, our customizations, and how much it slows the phone down. And they say the S6 is much faster, is not going to have that problem, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, all I have to do is purchase one of those.
All you have to do is spend an unknown amount of money, and you're all set. Wait for the reviews.
My second question, really quickly, is I'd like to be able to access my email and documents on my tablet, cell phone, notebook computer, and desktop computer so that I can go to any device and get all of my emails in sync as well as documents. I have Office 365. Is there a better way?
Well, email, the best way to do it is to use an IMAP server of some kind. Gmail is an IMAP server. Outlook.com, I think, can be used as IMAP. And what that means, or, it probably supports Exchange, what that means is the mail is not stored on your device. It's stored on the server. Your device is just a window to it. That way, it looks the same on every device, as long as you're using IMAP instead of POP, which is the older mail protocol. So you need an IMAP mail provider, job done. Remember the old days, the internet service providers say, well, you make sure you download all the mail, and then we'll delete it. And that's because hard drive space was dear still, and they didn't want to fill it up with your mail. Well, now everybody expects the mail to be stored forever on the server. Gmail started that trend. So that's the way to do that. As for documents, you can use OneDrive. You can use anything that your applications will recognize. And on Android, that really usually means almost anything. I use Dropbox is great for this. OneDrive, Microsoft solution is great for it. There are lots of choices.
I use Google Drive.
Yeah, Google Drive should work. It's just whether your apps can see it. But if they can't, then you'll download it from Google Drive and then open it. This is one of the nice things about Android, unlike the iPhone, as you can do things like that. You can see the file system. You can get files from another directory. You don't have to rely on the developer to do it for you in the app.
Okay. All right, great.
Zoho is another one. Somebody's suggesting Zoho. That's a very good choice. Zoho, ZOHO.com. There's really broad variety of ways to do this. One of the reasons I use an Android phone, and I'm sure one of the reasons Carlos does, is because it's so flexible. And so what I usually tell people is, if you don't want to geek around with your phone, an iPhone's a great choice. It's great. Go with it. But for people who really like to, mess with things, the Android's the best. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Venezuela's president accused the U.S. of plotting a coup. The patron saint of poets. It was stated once that while he was preaching, a dove landed on his shoulder and the earth rose above the crowd so they could hear him better. And, of course, this is his Saint's Day. Put the daffodil hat on, should I? Or the leak hat? You can't see the leak hat. It goes out of the frame.
Really? Is it that? Oh, I see it. Oh, no. No, no, no. No, 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 no.
It is not a buttercup.
Guy, please hold.
It's a daffodil.
Spring has sprung. Oh, you can't hear yourself.
I can now.
Oh, you can?
I have the special headphone adapter daffodil.
Right on. Where's the leak hat? Now model that. Oh.
It goes out of the frame.
Does it?
Yeah,
because will it go out of my frame? I mean,
actually, I don't know.
Here.
I think you could wear the
I like how
hat.
it gives you a beard.
Well, yeah, that's the little fringe at the bottom of a leak. Now this is a shot right there. That's a shot. You're not going to see very often on radio stations.
Oh, it.
So you have to put your head. Yeah. Put the beard. You want the beard at your chin. Oh, nice. Get the beard down over your chin.
Totally.
And you know what? It is so tall it even goes out of the frame on this. We could see it from this angle.
Oh my God.
Okay, I have to correct myself. It's not a buttercup. What, you don't like the leak hat? This goes so nicely with my outfit.
It's hot.
It's like I'm a dancer in the daffodil parade.
That's what I was going to say. We should do butter and eggs day parade with this stuff on.
I'll wear this to the butter and eggs day. This is the greatest hat ever. Okay, shh, don't tell anybody, because the radio audience won't know. Shh.
Don't give away the secret.
Don't give away the secret.
The daffodils are
They'll be.
dancing.
I'll be talking completely normally. They won't know they're talking to a daffodil. I look like a daffodil with gas. I'm a Teletubby. Spring is here in Petaluma. Sorry for everyone else in the United States who's suffering from snow.
We have cherry blossoms, right? All over the place.
So gorgeous. So gorgeous. We'll do a tribute to Leonard Nimoy after the show, obviously. We talked yesterday, but... Feed me, Seymour! Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Cody is in Mission Viejo, our next caller. Hi, Cody.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, I'm doing great.
Good.
I have a quick question about some entry-level DSLRs on the market.
Okay. How old are you, Cody?
I'm 12.
Awesome. And you like photography?
Yes, photography and videography.
Great. So video would be an important feature for you on a new camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what are you looking at?
I'm just trying to look at maybe a camera under $500 that can shoot 1080p video.
Yeah, even your phone can shoot 1080p now. It used to be that was a big deal. That was demanding issue. Nowadays, no problem. Pretty much any phone will take 1080p video. Trying to think of what would be a good $500, and that doesn't include the lens.
18 or 10.
Yeah. I mean, you want the kit. But the idea of a digital SLR, a DSLR, is that it has interchangeable lenses. Let me look at some pricing here. The one I would recommend to you, the one that I think is probably the best starter camera right now, is the Nikon D3300. It is a 24 megapixel, but it is an APS-C sensor. It's not full frame, but that's pretty darn good. And at that price point, it's about the best you're going to get. I like this camera a lot. And the other advantage of it is you're investing in Nikon glass, which is probably the best glass out there. I see it on B&H Photo for $500, but I'm trying to see if it includes even a basic lens. You'd want to have it does. So $500, just exactly your price point. Comes with an 18 to 55 millimeter zoom, which is a good starter lens. The B&H Photo folks are including a memory card. Don't forget that most of these cameras don't come with a memory card, so they include a memory card, which is nice. I think that's pretty much what I would get. Now, it's a good idea to take a look at the reviews before you buy any high-end camera. dpreview.com is very good. Go around and take a look at them. I got my son for graduation a Sony NEX camera. They also have some very good cameras in that range, and the Sony lenses are excellent. The A5000 is about $450, so that would be another good one.
Okay.
So, the truth is the cameras are good these days. There's nothing wrong with a $500 digital SLR. They're pretty darn excellent. They're as good as the state-of-the-art cameras were a few years ago.
Yeah.
So I would say the Nikon D3300, And I see it online for $500. Don't forget, you want a lens and memory. And,
All right.
And then another one that's great is the Sony Alpha, the NEX. I think the 4500 is in your price range, but they have a variety of prices, and so you just kind of pick the one that's the best. Sony's become the go-to company for digital photography, I think.
Yeah.
What do you shoot? What kind of photography do you like to do?
I do mainly just videos. I like doing like outside mainly, not like in a studio outside.
Well, if you're just doing videos, maybe a digital SLR is not the most cost effective for you. You don't want to do stills at all?
Yeah, I'll do stills, but I'm mainly focusing on just video.
Okay. Because you can get a video camera for a lot less. But the nice thing about using a digital SLR or DSLR for video is you can change lens as your budget increases. You get a paper route or something, you can get better lenses, a variety of lenses that give you more capabilities than just a standard camcorder.
Yeah.
You're not jumping off of roofs into pools or anything like that, right?
No.
Oh, good.
No. Like I already have a stabilizer for my iPod, so mainly just like.
You're serious?
Yeah.
Yeah. Most smartphones now actually take we were talking about the Galaxy S6, their new version of the Galaxy phones, and certainly the iPhone 6 both take excellent stills and video. So if your folks are going to get you a smartphone, and you're getting to that age where it's probably time if you don't have one already, that would be another, say, hey, Mom and Dad, just get me a smartphone.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, you can get 1080p video out of any smartphone these days. So those are good choices, too. I tell you, I think photography is the greatest hobby. And I encourage you. I mean, this is great. 12 years old, you start now. By the time you're 15, you'll be a master. Shane, Defiance, Ohio. Hi, Shane. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. How you doing? I got a question about iPhone 6 Plus.
Yeah.
And I know about I'm legally blind.
Mm-hmm.
I know about the accessibility stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when I increase the font or the font size or whatever, on Facebook, it stays at 10.
Isn't that frustrating?
Yes, and that never used to happen.
Is that in the Facebook app?
Yes.
Yeah, see... So,
and it used to go to landscape mode, now it doesn't.
Yeah, that's Facebook. An app doesn't have to honor the accessibility settings for the rest of the phone. The accessibility settings on the iPhone certainly change the operating system, but the apps decide what to do on their own. Mm-hmm. And I guess that Facebook has forgotten that there may be a large segment of the population that would like a bigger font than 10-point. You don't have to be legally blind to want a bigger font. I always set my fonts bigger. Yeah. So you have enough vision that you could see it if the font's big enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm coming from Android, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. On the other hand, accessibility features on the iPhone are really great. The screen reader, they've done a nice job. It is a little frustrating, though, and I'm surprised, frankly, that you can't, in the accessibility settings, override every app's settings and say, look, I don't care what the app says. Yeah. And it used to do that?
Yes.
And it now doesn't in the latest iOS. Or is it maybe an update to Facebook to do that?
Maybe Facebook needs to update their app.
You can use screen magnifiers on the iPhone.
Yeah, I found that, but that's kind of kludgy.
It's a pain in the butt, huh?
Yes.
Facebook does have an alternative app you might check out that is easier to read. Yeah, it's called Paper. They don't publicize it anymore, but it's still out. It's called Paper. It gives you all the same content, but kind of in a more magazine-y format, and I'm pretty sure you can make
Flipboard?
Pardon me?
Like Flipboard does?
Yeah, kind of, but it's so yeah, you'll see all the images, you'll see the posts of your friends and stuff. Paper. It's not designed to replace the Facebook app, but just to give you a different interface into it, and I like it. Okay. I actually really like Paper. So take a look, and maybe that is, as I remember, a lot more legible. It's also a lot less cluttered. Facebook's funny this way.
Nice.
Yeah, they put all these apps, and then they kind of just, that's it. We're done. And they don't update them. Paper's a great app.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, 8888. Ask Leo. The phone number. The website, I should mention, is techguylabs.com. And if you go to the website, we've got all the answers to all the questions. Even as I speak, James is writing that all down and putting it up there. After the show, we'll get audio and video from the show up there, and your comments. That's a big part of it. If you have a suggestion, for instance, on a way to make Facebook more legible on an iPhone, please go to techguylabs.com and add that comment. It's free. There's no sign up. I don't want your email address. No charge. It's just wide open. So please, techguylabs.com. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. I need a cigarette. You're like, Krusty loves you. All right, I'm taking this thing off. It's silly. It's also uncomfortable. Oh, one more picture. You want me a happy daffodil or sad daffodil? I'm a happy little flower. Urgh! The nice thing about this hair is you don't have hat hair. Oh, wait a minute. William Shatner is not going to attend Leonard Nimoy's funeral because of a previous commitment? I thought they were buddies.
That's
That can't be true.
previous commitment, schmevious commitment.
Yeah, that can't be true.
You break it.
Yeah, that's not. Somebody dies. Everybody understands. I got to go to Spock's funeral.
Hello.
Hello. Do.
I mean, he should be. I would think he would speak at it.
Yeah. As far as I know, they were friends. Spock appeared in a couple of Priceline ads.
Oh my gosh. I love that you told us all about that video for Lazy. That's amazing.
Isn't that fun? The Bruno Mars
Oh my gosh.
alternate take. It's kind of a bittersweet song. I love the song, Bruno Mars, the Lazy song. And the problem is it brings up the video that Leonard Nimoy did as an alternate official video for this. And he's the lazy guy. And it's so funny. If you haven't seen it, go to YouTube and watch it. And it just shows the amazing kind of range of Mr. Spock. Leonard Nimoy passed away, of course, this week at the age of 83. He said in a tweet last year, "I wish I hadn't smoked." He had quit cigarettes more than 30 years ago, but died of COPD from cigarette smoking. And but he was an amazing fellow. Not only Mr. Spock on the original Star Trek series and several movies subsequent to that, he wrote and directed some of the Star Trek movies. I didn't know this. Directed Three Men and a Baby. Was a poet, a musician of sorts, a patron of the arts. Really a wonderful person who at first hated the fact that he was so typecast as Mr. Spock, the logical alien on the Star Trek series. In fact, he wrote a book in the 80s called I Am Not Spock. But eventually, I think he grew accustomed to it. In fact, even embraced it because his book in the 90s was called I Am Spock. We'll miss you, Leonard. Leonard Nimoy. One of his last things, of course, he appeared as cameo roles in the last two Star Trek movies, the reboots by J.J. Abrams, and it was great. Just really great. 83 years old, Leonard Nimoy. He had a good run. He did. Steve from Long Island, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm well.
So I'm trying to find out. I know you mentioned about the Komodo and the Superfish, and I need to get a SSL. And the company that I have that's doing my web hosting only supports Komodo. So
Komodo is not Komodia. Don't get confused.
Oh, it's not the same thing.
Yeah, thank goodness. Komodo has some other issues, but they are not Komodia. Komodo certificates are fine. Komodia is some cheesy software that is used by more than 100 programs including Superfish, which was some adware that Lenovo put on some of its laptops, has since stopped. In fact, Lenovo has even published a removal tool and has apologized. This software, Superfish, was designed to insert ads into websites you were visiting. And the Superfish software would recognize what you were looking at. Say you're looking at an Amazon page, and then put a related ad up. In addition to whatever ads the page had, it would put more ads up. Lenovo's justification is, well, consumers want this. It's a convenience. It's not a convenience. That's adware. That's malware. But the worst part of the story is that Superfish, instead of writing its own software, in order to do this, by the way, especially on a site like Amazon, on a commerce site, they have to intercept what would normally be encrypted traffic. When you go to a secure HTTP site, it says HTTPS. It's using encryption to keep it private because your bank uses it and so forth. But in order to add these ads, they actually cracked the encryption and inserted themselves. They were looking at everything you were doing. Superfish didn't want to write the software, so they went around and they found some company named Komodia with a K, Komodia, that made a little utility that you could plug into your software and would replace the secure certificate that you were using with their own highly insecure, by the way, certificate because they did it wrong. And everybody who uses this software with Komodia, and it has the same key, and the password is Komodia. So it was very poorly implemented, adding to the insult to injury, because then not only were they spying on you, but any bad guy who could figure it out, and many have since, could also intercept your traffic and spy on you. So it was a really horrible thing to do. Unfortunately, Komodia is used in a lot of software.
Is there any good SSL that you recommend?
No, if you use Komodo, that's fine. They use some software called, Komodo makes some software called PrivDog, which does the same thing as Komodia. So I don't like Komodo for that reason, but their certificates are legitimately strong certificates. So it's not that the SSL certificates don't work. It's that if somebody who's visiting your SSL encrypted site has this malware, and I'm going to call it malware, they call it adware, I'm going to call it malware, has this malware on on their system, it doesn't affect you. It just means that the malware can spy on them.
Yeah.
So there's nothing you can do about it. It doesn't matter whose certificates you get. It's because they put something on their system that's intercepting the traffic in between you and them.
I see.
Nothing you can do about that. Get a certificate. If you're running a site that has SSL, by all means. And in fact, the sad thing is there's been a strong movement sponsored by Google to put SSL on all sites. All sites should be encrypted. There's just no reason not to. There's no burden. There's no overhead. But unfortunately, it's possible for the end user to put something on their system that breaks that. That's what Komodia does.
Yeah.
So don't worry. Yeah, Komodo. If your web hosting company says get your certificates here, get them there. That has nothing to do with this.
Yeah. Is there any other?
Oh, there's lots of them.
Komodia?
I use DigiCert. We use DigiCert.
I was gonna get that one.
I'm a big fan.
And people didn't really like Komodo.
So yeah, if you don't like Komodo, there's plenty of them. VeriSign, DigiCert. There's even a move towards offering free SSL certs in an effort to get everybody to use encryption. But the free SSL certs are not as good as a real SSL cert. So
they had the open source.
The
open source SSL.
Yeah, and I don't. It's called I think startssl.com. I would use if you ask me who to get, DigiCert.
Yes. All right, I will do that.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Leo.
You're welcome. Yeah, and I encourage, if you're a commerce site or you're in any way exchanging information with your visitors that you think they might want to keep private, you should go out and get a certificate. They're not cheap, but they're not going to break the bank either. They're hundreds of dollars. And it's worth getting. There are different kinds of certs. Extended certs are much more expensive. You don't need that necessarily. If you're a bank, I'd get an extended cert. But it's sufficient just to have a cert that encrypts the traffic between you and the other guy. But what you can't do is protect the end user against Komodia. And that's why it's so horrific. That's why Superfish is such a bad idea, and why Lenovo deserves to be spanked. Because it's if it's malware. If a user puts something on their system that breaks certificates, it's not your fault. You've done what you can. It's kind of a shame. It really is. Matthew in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Hello, Matthew.
Hello, Leo.
How are ya?
I'm great. You?
I'm well. What can I do for you?
So I was wondering if I can take 2 Apple AirPort Extremes and put them 300 feet apart in 2 different houses and still be able to get signal from one house to another.
So everything you said, no problem, except for the 300 foot.
Okay.
That's a little iffy. Wi-Fi 802.11 A, B, and G are designed really for about 150 feet. AC, the newest version, and the newest AirPorts Extremes support this, will go farther. If it's line of sight and the 2 base stations can see each other, there's not stuff in between, they're not talking through screens in your window, 300 feet, yeah, you could probably do that. But it's on the edge of what you could do. If you need to do that, you can always add an external directional antenna on both ends, and that will make it easy. You can get Wi-Fi to go miles if you have the right antennas.
Okay.
All right. So I would try it. Make sure you use the new AirPort Extremes. Those are 802.11 AC. One of them will be configured to extend the network. One of them will be connected to your router or to your internet access and will be the access point. So what happens is house 1 has the cable internet or the DSL internet. You connect that to router 1, and then 300 feet away you have house 2. Router 2 is configured not as a DHCP server or a NAT server, but as a extender. So it's in the Apple terminology, it'll say, "Do you want to extend the wireless network?" And you say yes on that second one. It's actually Apple makes it very easy to set up. You can do this though with any Wi-Fi router, but they call the standard WDS, the wireless distribution system. In general, I recommend you use an extender that is made by the same company as the original router. So Apple to Apple, great. Buffalo to Buffalo, great. Linksys to Linksys, great. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. More of your calls right after this. Wump.
Is it time for lunch?
Not yet.
Okay,
I had a luscious breakfast.
I'll ask you again.
I'm going to eat lunch after the show, maybe 2.
I'll ask you again.
Yeah. And I'll just have a salad, the usual food bar bistro thing.
Bistro or mitsu or...
What's mitsu? Niçoise? With a little salmon. I had that yesterday. Niçoise with the thing on the thing. You can just say chicken or salmon. That's basically the choice. I think I'll have the bistro today.
That's the chicken.
Chicken. Thank you.
I'll confirm with you in 2 hours.
Yeah, I would. That's probably a very good idea. Our show today brought to you by Gazelle. You saw the new Galaxy S6. Maybe you're thinking, oh, I'd like that. Maybe you have a Galaxy S5 or a Note 4 you want to upgrade. Maybe you have an iPhone 5, iPhone 6 you want to upgrade. Where do you go? A lot of people, and I did this for a long time, will just throw the old gadget in the drawer. Any gadgets in here? Oh, look. I guess I still have a few. I got a drawer full of old phones. Best thing to do, go to gazelle.com. Why? I mean, you wouldn't throw a $100 bill in the drawer to collect dust. Why throw $100 worth of smartphone in the drawer to collect dust? You can trade in your old electronics, your iPhones, your cell phones from Apple, BlackBerry, HTC, LG, Motorola, Nokia, or Samsung, your old iPads, tablets from Amazon, Apple, Asus, Google, Microsoft, and Samsung, iPods, Apple computers, other products like the Apple TV and the Apple Display, and get top dollar for it. Trade it in for cash. There's no risk. In fact, the shipping is free, so you might as well get quotes on all of your goodies. The quotes, by the way, are good for 30 days, so go ahead, get quotes today, tomorrow, the next day. Call your cousins, your aunts, Your sisters, your brothers say, you got any gadgets? Get it all. Pile it in a box. Gazelle, once you check out, will send you prepaid postage, a box. Anything worth more than $1, they'll pay the postage for. By the way, they do buy broken iPhones and broken iPads. I think they're one of the few places that will. You ship it to them. Their experts will check it out. They'll wipe the data if you forget to. And then they'll pay you by check, PayPal credit, or, little pro tip here, Amazon gift card, which will bump it up by 5%. Now, Gazelle is not just a place to sell. It's a place to buy, too. The very best stuff they get in return, they will sell under their Gazelle Certified Pre-Owned program. There are 2 conditions available. There's the Certified Like New and Certified Good. Certified Good devices, they'll show a little sign of wear, not much. But it's a good way to save extra money and maybe replace your stolen or lost phone or cracked phone with something that's just as good at a great price. And I can promise you, everything Gazelle sells has been put through a rigorous 30-point inspection. They are fully functional, and you have 30 days to return them risk-free. Risk-free. So this is a great way to replace an old gadget or get a new one. Go to Gazelle, to sell, to buy, gazelle.com. They've paid out nearly, actually over now, $200 million. They've bought 2 million phones and tablets, over 1 million customers, and all of them, almost all of them, there's always a few bad apples, but 9 out of 10 say they had an excellent experience. I know I've had nothing but excellent experiences with Gazelle. You should try it. Just at least get a quote. Good for 30 days. Gazelle, Gazelle.com. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here. That's me. I'm the tech guy. We time to talk about computers, the internet, all that stuff with a chip in it, your smartphone, your home theater, and, digital photography. Coming up in about half an hour, our photo guy, Chris Marquardt, will talk to us. But, really most of the point of this show is to talk to you. That's why we give you a phone number, 8888 Ask Leo, 888-827-5536, toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. You can Skype us as well if you're outside that area. Won't cost you anything. And I'd love to help you with your tech problems or talk to you about tech issues, certainly politics. With the FCC announcement, I know a lot of people are upset. We've had an internet service provider, small guy, out of Laramie, Wyoming, Brett Glass, on before. He was one of the ISPs that was very worried that the FCC would invoke Title II and start to regulate internet service providers. He says, I'm suing. He'll be joining a large group, maybe mostly like AT&T and Verizon, maybe Comcast. My friend Dane Jasper, who's also an internet service provider at a company called SonicNet, has debated Brett. He says, no, I welcome Title II regulation. But he's kind of an internet activist, and I think he, like the Electronic Frontier Foundation and many of the big tech companies, is worried that the internet will become a toll road instead of an open place for ideas to flourish. And, as I have a very strong interest in this because I'm an internet content creator. I'm not an ISP. I rely on your ISP so that for you to watch my stuff. I besides the radio show, which I do on broadcast, I do 12 other shows every week. In fact, we have 30 total on our network. All through the week that are available only on the internet. And content providers are the ones who are most scared of the broadband providers because Comcast, Verizon, AT&T, the big guys, control so many customers. If Comcast said to me, well, Leo, you're a nice guy. You're doing quite well on this internet here. If you would like to reach our customers, it's going to cost you. I would have no choice but to pay them. I might not be able to. It could put me out of business. The internet has thrived because anybody can access it, put stuff up, create a blog, speak their piece. It is the ultimate in free speech, and it's important to protect it. It's important to keep it open and flowing. Now, if the FCC starts to shut things down, you better believe I'll make a big noise. But frankly, I trust them much more than I trust Comcast. Not because Comcast is evil or AT&T is evil or Verizon is evil, but they are businesses constructed to make money. And that's a great way to make money. Go to YouTube and Netflix and Facebook and Google and say, would you like to reach our customers? Well, we would love that. Please pay us. And that's not how the internet works. On the internet, every bit should travel free without additional charge. You're paying the internet service provider for access to the whole internet, not to the part of the internet they deign to give you or the part of the internet that's willing to pay to get to you. If you have internet access, you expect to get the whole internet. That's your right. I think you'd want to fight for that right. I'm kind of surprised at the people who say, oh, no, we trust Comcast. Do you know them? Have you met Comcast? You trust them, really? I trust them to make the most money they can for their stockholders. That's their job. That's the job of every corporation. Make the most money they can for their stockholders. That's not in our interest, is it? We want the full internet. We want what we paid for. It seems like that's a simple conversation. I don't know why that's become so muddied. I think politics, and I think, unfortunately, because it's so technical, it's easy to confuse people on it. It really is. It is a very technical issue. You have to understand how the internet works, how the FCC works, how broadband providers work. You have to understand the politics of it. That's a lot for anybody to swallow. And I've spent a long time, years now, trying to understand this best I can. And it seems pretty clear to me what the FCC did on Thursday was a major vote to protect the internet. Charlie in Missoula, Montana. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Charlie.
Leo, oh, man, I'm so glad you took my call. Hey, listen, I have got an email with an attachment, and I'm trying to, well, I can download it, but I can't print it. And what I'm trying to find a way that is, Heather's words, free way to download that without doing Microsoft Office.
Can you print other stuff?
Yeah.
It's this attachment you can't print.
Correct.
What is the attachment? Do you know what kind of file it is?
Well, what I get is an attachment from my bookkeeper, and I have two choices. It says download as zip or add to OneDrive.
Okay, a zip by itself, you don't want to print, because a zip is a compressed file.
Okay.
If you print it, you're going to get you're not going to read it. It's garbage.
Right,
you have to first unzip it.
Okay, and I have that option, and I did that.
So when you unzip it, what does it unzip to?
It says that it is downloading to a format that it can print. Something to that effect.
Is it a PDF? Is it a Word file? Is it an Excel file?
A PDF.
Okay. So the next thing is, in order to print a PDF, you have to have a PDF reader.
Okay.
And Windows didn't come. What version of Windows are you using?
Oh, that's a whole nother story. I had Windows 7.
Well, you don't have to give me the whole story. If you don't have Windows 8, you don't have a PDF reader.
Okay, well, this is what happened to me. I had trouble. I downloaded Adobe, and it totally, I didn't uncheck the right box.
Oh, you got a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Right,
So all you need is a PDF reader. You'll you'll unzip the file that your accountant sent you. You'll open the resulting decompressed file, which is a PDF, in a PDF reader, and from there you print it. The PDF reader you get, there are a variety of them. Most people go with Adobe Reader. The problem with Adobe Reader, and by the way, that's not Adobe Acrobat. Adobe sells a suite that makes PDF files, it annotates them, and all you want is something that'll open it. Right. You don't. Here's what I would do. I would say, don't get Adobe Reader. Do you have a Google? Do you have a Google account?
Yes.
Open it in Google Drive, because it can read PDFs, and you'll get a document you can read and print from your browser.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. It's that easy. I wouldn't kid a kidder. There are other programs. There's Qt PDF. There's Nitro PDF. There are lots of PDF readers that are free. The problem with these, and the real problem with Adobe Reader, is that many web pages have embedded PDFs on them. And your browser will normally just say, oh, I see a PDF, and open it. And if you're using a PDF but it opens it, by the way, by calling the PDF reader. If you're using a PDF reader that has bugs in it, as Adobe Reader has time and time again, bad guys can take advantage of that and, in effect, infect your computer with a malformed PDF file on a website. So they put it on the website. Maybe the website unwittingly doesn't even know it's there. The bad guys very frequently hack websites with this express purpose. They put this malformed PDF file there. Your browser goes, hey, I see a PDF file. Who can read that? Oh, I can. I'm Adobe Reader. It says, well, fine, Adobe Reader. Adobe Reader opens the file without none of this with your intervention. It happens like that, lickety-split. Adobe Reader opens it, and it's an Adobe Reader that has a bad bug. Many versions do. And it says, oh, this isn't a PDF. This is a program to execute. Let's run it without asking you, and now you're infected. So it's very important, if you do use Reader, to keep it up to date all the time, just as you do with Flash, another common source of infection. You got to update it just as much as you update your operating system. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And it may be, and the chat room has pointed this out, if it is possible, not desirable, to create a PDF that cannot be printed. And maybe your bookkeeper's done that. Why she would do that, I don't know. But it is possible to, this is why people sometimes use PDFs, is there's all sorts of things you can do with them. You can password protect them and so forth. Just open it in Chrome. Yeah, I guess you don't even really need a Google account. You just open it in Chrome. Using it, but it uses Google Reader. Creamy Corn Cob says, just make sure to visit download.com when needing a PDF program. That way you'll get all sorts of additional stuff. Well, just to be clear, we don't recommend download.com. I don't know which one I was talking about, 5820. There are places, if you just Google Wi-Fi extenders, Wi-Fi antenna, you'll see, and there you have to get the one that matches the connector that you're foolishly, I don't know if this is still the case, but foolishly, as part of the 802.11 spec, each router manufacturer was expected to use a different connection for its antenna. That was part of the deal. I don't know why. It must have been some security thing. Somebody put a PDF, a malformed PDF link in our chat room? Wow. Nice. Huh. This is why I love Google. Attackers on pdfcore.com might attempt to trick you into installing programs that will harm your browsing experience. So what Google does in the process, this is, Microsoft does this as well. I think Apple does it too. In the process of indexing the web for Google's search index, it looks at the contents of websites. And when it notices known malware, known infections, malformed PDFs, JavaScript code, so forth, that is risky, it'll flag the website and say, this website has malware on it. In this case, it says adware. I've not seen this one yet. We've had that happen on our Twit site. So a couple of years ago, the people who designed the Twit website apparently used a module that had some insecurity. And an attacker used that insecurity to put some malware, it wasn't very effective malware, but some malware on our site. Google found it and flagged it, which was great because we knew that once we saw that, we go, and we fixed it immediately. To my knowledge, no one was affected. But it's a good thing. And if you see this, don't go on. Stop. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Ray in Van Nuys. Leo Laporte, how you doing? Hello, Ray.
Hi.
Hi.
I enjoy your show. I'm a newer listener.
Oh, well, welcome. It's great to have you. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. You probably dealt with this question before, but I bought the Nexus 7 tablet, and I was just wondering about security software for the tablets, because when I look at Google, they're like two opinions. Some say it's waste of time, and others say you need it. So I was wondering.
It is. Well, okay. Let me put it this way. Google has modified Android. There have been malware issues in the past on mobile devices. Our mobile operating systems are fairly recent. They're only 10 years and less old, and so they've been designed in the era where malware was prevalent. They knew about it. Microsoft Windows OS 10 designed really before malware was a big issue, and so particularly Windows doesn't have the protections that mobile operating systems do. So Android and iOS inherently are safer, which is why we don't see massive malware outbreaks. There's thousands of new Windows viruses every day. You hear of a new Android exploit maybe every 6 months. It's not common.
Yeah.
Even though they have happened. So what Google does is, and you're asked when you first set up an Android phone if you wish to turn this on. You probably said yes. It scans everything you download. So if you're buying it on the Google Store, they've checked it to begin with. And then when you download new software onto your Android device, it is scanned again compared to a database of known exploits. So that's pretty good. The problem is there could, a brand new one it wouldn't know about for 12 hours a day, whatever. They're not common enough that I don't personally run security software on my Android devices. I don't run security software on any mobile device at all. However, if you wish to, there is a very good one that's free called Lookout. Lookout. And it does the same thing. It has a data. It's like any antivirus, has a database of known malware, and it will compare anything new that happens on your system with that before you're allowed to run it. It's belt and suspenders. It's a good practice. It doesn't really impinge on your phone. Lookout's free. They have some premium features that you would pay for. I've never bothered to, but there might be something of value there. But from
the Google Store, I've been using just to be safe. I've been using Avast and AVG.
Yeah, I would take those off.
Take them off.
Yeah.
Okay.
The companies like Avast, AVG, have a very brisk business on Windows software, and there's no reason for them not to promote the notion that you need to do the same thing on Android. You do not.
Okay.
They're trying to build a nice business on Android, but the problem is it's not the same.
Right. Yeah, that's what's so confusing to me.
You can't do the same kinds of damage to yourself on a mobile device that you can on a desktop computer. It's a lot harder. And the protections that Google builds in are, frankly, I think sufficient. But if you want a second opinion, Lookout is a good choice. You don't need much more than that.
Oh, okay.
You don't need any more than that.
Yeah, I'm really happy also with, I've heard you talk a little about the Nexus 7. Boy, I love that.
Isn't it great? I mean, what was it, $250? It's cheap.
Well, I buy things through, I don't have any problems. I buy used things through eBay.
Fine, too, as long as as long as the seller is legit. A lot of people buy gadgets and use them for a while and then sell them on eBay so they can get the next thing.
Right. Yeah,
so how much did you pay for it?
I actually bought two. One of them I paid $84,
wow.
And another one I paid $100.
Great deal. And they're from Google. They're well-made tablets, and Google keeps them up to date, so you get updates all the time. They're up to Lollipop now in all the Nexus 7s. I think it's a great choice. So kudos to you. It's a great, inexpensive tablet.
Yeah, that was another thing. The only place I could seem to find tablets that were upgraded to Lollipop was on eBay.
Well, and that's, yeah, you can, well, the truth is, if you had bought a Google tablet, it would have been upgraded. You'd get the latest version when you buy it, and then Google continues to push out updates. I have a Nexus 7 I bought from Google's Play Store more than a year ago, I think, and it was updated automatically. So Google, that's the nice thing about, if you get a really, you can get $50 Android tablets at the gas station nowadays. I mean, they sell them everywhere, but they're no-name Chinese companies, no guarantee they're going to keep them up to date. They may have bugs and problems. There's no support. I think it's probably a better idea. If you want an inexpensive Android tablet, get the Google Nexus tablets. They're quite good, and they're guaranteed to be kept up to date for a certain number of years. I absolutely don't think there is a security issue on mobile. I want to really emphasize that. When we really started to use mobile computers, these smartphones, starting in 2007 with the iPhone, but even before then with BlackBerry phones and Nokia phones, I really thought these would be a target for bad guys. And I'm sure they would be in many ways. I mean, this is a gold mine for bad guys because not only do you have all sorts of information on there, many of us do our banking and so forth on there, but there are ways you can trick a mobile phone user into making very expensive SMS messages to, the Caribbean, or charges to their cell bill in various ways. And so really could be a gold mine for bad guys. It's not that they haven't tried. They are. But it's that these are more modern operating systems that are designed, I believe, with safeguards that have been sufficient to keep them from getting hacked, widespread hacking. There's occasional little issues. Mostly it comes from downloading software that is suspect. A Russian wallpaper program. 500 wallpapers for free. You get this from us, you'll love it. It's stuff that it's junkware. If you stick with well-known apps from major companies, it's just not going to be an issue to you. It really isn't. John in Hesperia, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, John.
Hello.
Welcome. What can I do for you?
You were talking last week about the free upgrade to Microsoft 10, Windows 10 operating system.
Yep.
I've got a Dell Windows 7 machine that came prepackaged with Microsoft Office. Will that be honored and transferred to the new operating system, or will I lose that if I upgrade?
You get it for a year, and you will keep it.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I think Microsoft is very interesting. Microsoft has said everybody who runs Windows 7 or Windows 8 today will be able to upgrade for free to Windows 10. And they say for a year, and that may be a little ambiguous. What they mean is we're going to have this free upgrade program for an entire year. Windows 10 comes out this fall. That means the fall of 2016, we will continue this. They may even continue it beyond that. But it is a full free upgrade. You're done. It's not in a year they're going to charge you or anything like that. You own Windows 10, and any applications you're running on Windows 8 or Windows 7, like Microsoft Office, as long as that license is still good, they'll come along with it.
Okay, real good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah, I understand people's confusion and suspicion. It seems too good to be true. Microsoft makes all its money on Windows and Office, and they've been lately giving it away. What? Leo Laporte, the tech guy, our photo guy, coming up right after this. You're right, OI Geek. And when I reviewed the WinBook, I did not pay enough attention to the fact that there's very little storage on there. So if you have, for instance, if you put Office on there, and it comes with Office, and you download and install it, you pretty much have no room left. You can't even update it. I found that very quickly. I couldn't update. With 16 gigs, Windows takes up so much space, there's barely enough room. So I use it, but I just don't put anything else on it. And you can update and all that stuff. You just can't put a bunch of stuff on it. So it's kind of, think of it as a tablet that does what everything Windows does and no more. You might be able to get, I don't know, I took Office off. I wasn't going to use Office anyway. The nice thing is that serial number is good. You could put it on, use it for another machine. So really, in some ways, the WinBook at $59 is really the cheapest way to get a year of Office. Just don't install it. Don't use the serial number. And put it on another machine. I didn't use it because I already have an Office subscription. So this is a year of Microsoft Office, which would normally be $70 or $80, I think. You can use the SD card for storage, but installing apps will fill up enough that you're dead. So you can't install more apps is the problem. Not true, Mike Tools. You'll get an Office, you'll get a Windows 10 serial number, you're done. You own Windows 10. It's just like you had bought Windows 10. You own Windows 10. So yeah, if you restore to Windows 7, no problem. You do the same upgrade. It's still free because you have a serial number. You own Windows 10. Microsoft had to really clarify that, but it's my understanding from Paul and Mary Jo that it's just as if you bought it. You own Windows 10. Hey, Chris Marquardt.
Hello there. How are you?
I'll tell you how
I've
I am.
seen it. Yes,
I'm
I've seen it.
$8,000
Yes, I've seen
poorer
it.
is
Yes,
how I
I've
am.
seen it.
But you know what? I love it. Maybe it's
I
all in
can
my
tell.
head.
No, it's not. I love it. It's not. It's maybe not really making you a better photographer in the
is.
way that. Well, yes and no. I've seen the photo. I've seen the photo you put on. You twittered the photo of
Lisa, or
of
the
Lisa and her
bamboo.
son,
Yeah,
which is an amazing picture. It is really,
it's the
really
best
good.
picture I've ever taken.
But you know, the bokeh isn't what makes this picture.
No, I know it's good composition.
Bokeh is
It's-
not what
there's a-
makes this picture.
No, I know what you mean, but here's the
Leo,
nice
Leo,
deal.
Before we continue, I have two things I can talk about today.
Yes.
It's either Leonard Nimoy and his photography as an opener to something else I
Yes.
actually want to talk about.
Very
or
good.
the dress.
Oh, well, we talked yesterday about the dress at length
Okay,
with
you did.
Scott Wilkinson, so let's do Leonard.
Okay,
Nimoy.
you did. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Then let's go for
It's
the late
also a work
Leonard
of
Nimoy.
art. I mean,
and
I know you've used Leica glass, but this thing is a
They
work
are
of art.
amazing.
I mean, it's going to hold its value very, very well.
Oh, you know. Actually, I want to touch on this when I talk about what I want to talk about today.
I'll never sell it though.
I'm
I
pretty
might
sure
sell
you won't.
all my other gear, but I'll never sell this.
I'm happy for you. This is a very good lens.
And it pairs so nicely with the A7. I'm going to use
It
this for
does, yeah.
video too, the A7S, which is only 12 megapixels. It's all I
cares?
want. This is it. I'm done.
Who cares?
I got the A7 too. Lisa uses that, and I'll probably, I'm sure Sony's really knocking it out of the park. I'm sure they'll continue to improve that body. But boy, this combination, and it's compact. Chris Marquardt is here. He is our digital photography guru, the host of the Tips from the Top Floor podcast. He leads many great workshops at discoverthetopfloor.com and is an all-around great guy coming to us from the Boca Mansion. From
the Viewfinder Villa.
Viewfinder Villa.
One day you'll get it
I'm
right.
just teasing you now. From the Viewfinder Villa. Hello, Chris.
Hi, Leo. How are you? I've seen that you got a new toy.
Oh, I don't even want to bring it up because I feel guilty. I read a review on Steve Huff's blog, Steve Huff Photo. I really enjoy reading him. He's like me. He's perhaps not a gifted photographer like you, but he is a buff. And he loves the gear, and he loves Leica, which is a camera brand that's been around and well known for years, very popular with street photographers. They make great film cameras with compact bodies that are great for sneaking up on people, and many of my favorite photographers just swear by Leica, a nice German company, I might add. And I had heard Steve talked about this as the best lens ever made, the Leica Summicron 50, and he said, but you can't get it's ridiculously expensive. But don't worry, because it's 9 to 12 months back order. So I ordered one. I thought, well, that's good. That'll give me a year to think about it.
And you told me about it last week.
And I got, I knew it was going to be back ordered. I ordered it from B&H, and they sent me a letter saying, yeah, it's back ordered, but we'll let you know. The next email I got from them is, it's on its way. Congratulations. It's like, and they charged my card. But you know what? You can pry this out of this is like the best lens it is. Our lenses, can there be a lens that's like remarkably better than other lenses? Is that possible?
Well, those lenses. First of all, the build quality. So you, as a geek, you will certainly value how smooth it is.
Yeah, it's
the fine
made.
mechanics.
It's
of
a
it and
jewel.
things.
It's like a fine wristwatch or something, and it costs.
The image
about
quality
as
is
much.
good. It's
good. You better say great.
It is great. Yes, it is great.
Of course, a lot of this is what they call confirmation bias. If you believe something to be true, then it is true. And I think I'm taking the best pictures I've ever taken.
Oh, I think you are. I think you actually are. I mean, it's all in your mind, but it's also some of it is in the photos. The bokeh is definitely better than with other lenses.
What is bokeh?
Is it? That's the out of focus part in the background. It looks smoother, more creamy. But is it $8,000 better? I'm not.
We're not talking about the price in public. That's embarrassing. I mean, that's an embarrassing amount of money. I did take, I think, the best picture I've ever taken with it.
It's an amazing picture.
I love this picture. It's of my wife and her son, and I'm very, I wouldn't pay $8,000 for this picture, but I think maybe I'd pay $1,000 to have this. So, I'd take 8 more like this, and the camera's paid for, the lens is paid for itself.
Oh, go ahead and do that.
In my lifetime. Now, you wanted to talk, you were talking off the air. I didn't know this, but apparently Leonard Nimoy, we marked his passing this week. Spock from Star Trek was a photographer.
He was not just an actor and a director and a songwriter. He was also a photographer, yes. And it's really interesting. I mean, it kind of is interesting that we're looking at others, and often we only see them for like one thing they do. Like, of course, Nimoy was Mr. Spock. And for many people, that's what he was. And you are the tech guy or the author or now the Leica photographer. It really happens that we end up being seen just for one thing. But, and Nimoy's photography, you can go to leonardnimoyphotography.com. It's a page at the R. Mitchelson Gallery.
Did he take this up later in life? Was he always a photographer?
He did. He always was a photographer, but he started doing exhibitions, I think, around 2000 or later. It's not all safe for work, so be careful when you go there.
Well, in fact, he did a photo book, quite famously, of nudes of big women.
That's the Full Body Project.
The Full Body. Bravo.
Oh, amazing stuff, really good stuff. And he was not afraid doing this. He was really fearless doing these kind of things. So the interesting thing is, and this is not just about Leonard Nimoy, this is about your photography. Whatever else you do in your life, whatever else other than photography do, or what is important for you will typically shape and influence your photography. And the problem I see is that we often don't let the things that are important to us influence our photography. We often try to chase something in our photography that we actually aren't. Let me give an example. Someone might be, fascinated by sports photography, seeing these guys standing on the sidelines. So they go and buy the big camera, the expensive fast telephoto lenses. But what they might not be aware of is that they're actually really good with people, and that their portrait skills might be so much better than their sports photography skills. Or if you're a tech geek, you love the tech, so you get new camera gear.
I like gear. I'm a little gear obsessed. Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it will really do things to your photography as well, but it won't really do something for your eye. And again, it's perfectly fine to love technology, but the key is, and I think this is really, really important, be aware of what else is important to you, and then maybe look into what you love and try to make your photography a bit more about what you love. Shoot what interests you.
Yeah.
I was once asked to shoot pictures of horses or riders on horses and their horses. And I'm not really a horse person. So I took photos that I thought were artistically okay, photographically okay, well exposed, nice compositions. And they just didn't like the photos when I came back, because you couldn't see that curve in the neck of the horse and this thing on the leg and all the things that are important to these people that I was not aware of.
You have to be a horse lover. Well, that would make sense that my wife and her son would be one of my best photos, because I love them. And so that comes through in the picture, doesn't it? And
that's what Leonard Nimoy did. He was actually looking into things that he loved doing. He was doing the things that he loved doing, and that really, really influenced, in turn, influenced his photography and the things he did. So, if we look into ourselves at what we love to do, that might be a good pointer in the right direction when we want to find the photography that we want to do.
What do you love taking pictures of?
Oh, I
you have
love
a very
geometry,
wide range.
I love landscapes. I have the problem. I cannot really focus on just one thing because I'm teaching. So I have to be a bit varied. But I love geometry. I love landscapes. I love the relation between shapes. I love the color contrast and things. But it took me a long time to find that out. I was looking at other things first, and when I became better at listening at what I actually want to do, my photography started to change and become better.
It's funny that you say that, because I did not know that, but I've always admired the pictures that you take that are more abstract, that are more about patterns and shapes.
That's the geometry. That's the shapes. Yes.
Yeah, and you're really a master of that. I'm looking at some of the glacial pictures you took in Iceland, and they could be modern art, expressionistic art. They're not obviously of a thing, but it's the shapes that you're interested in, the geometry, the light, the way the play of light works, and you're very wonderful at that. So I understand now what you're talking about.
Thank you.
To take pictures of what you love. Now,
Exactly.
we have an assignment, but one of the reasons we're kind of not too specific in the assignment is we want you to be able to do it within the context that you want to take pictures in. And by the way, we don't say you have to have a fancy Leica lens to do this. You can use your camera phone. But we want you to take a picture, what is it, of awake?
Awake is the current assignment.
What does that mean? Well, you're not going to tell us, are you? Take a picture, tag it awake, put it on Flickr, and make sure you submit it to the Tech Guy group. And in a few weeks, Chris will be reviewing them. DiscoverTheTopFloor.com. Chris Marquardt, great to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that that's what you love, because, boy, I see so many of your pictures, and the ones I love the best, although you do great people pictures, but the ones I love the best are the ones that are just almost abstract. Those ice pictures, amazing.
It kind of comes natural to me. It's a relation between shapes. It's how the spacing,
But you know what happens?
Distance between things
is people look at this and they love your pictures so much that they then try to copy it. So maybe that's not the thing to do.
But should you put bad work up because you're afraid someone's copying it?
No, not for you. I'm talking about. I'm just saying for other people. There's
nothing wrong with people.
Find what you love.
Yeah, but I mean that's how you learn.
That's true.
A lot of the stuff that I did. That I did learning.
That's a great picture. That is a great. And what's nice is, and this is one thing I have learned from pros like you, the technical aspects of this picture are impeccable. And so they're not. No, they are. They're beautiful. I'm talking about lighting.
He's not quite in focus.
Focus.
He's not quite in focus.
The photographer sees more imperfections than the viewers do.
No. The photographer owns the picture and has 100% view on the picture. You only seeing this in a very downsized version, which means that it's actually not the imperfections are kind of downsized as well.
Isn't that funny? So. Yeah, that's why it always looks good in the viewfinder, and then you get home and you go, "Oh crap." That's a terrible picture. Well, that is one thing that's really true with this Leica because it's manual focus, and you don't have to shoot at f2, but you kind of want to. I get about a third of my photos just what was that focused on, and then what's really worse is some of them are like that guy. It's really close, but then you look like I got a great picture of Megan, but as I looked closely at it, I realized it was her necklace that was in perfect focus, and she was just a little bit off.
Yeah, but you're now on a road. You're now on a learning curve, and you're at the steep part of it.
Yeah.
But
I've been practicing.
It'll go on like that for a while, but then it'll even out, and you'll find yourself up on the top. And this is a beautiful experience to learn new things and to add new skills to your repertoire. It's beautiful.
I just love this. I mean, just the lens makes you kind of love. I'm crazy about it. This one's kind of fun. I don't know if it's a great picture, but I kind of had fun with it. And
I totally love it.
The weird thing is the hand is fine. That's what's working.
Well, you seem to have rotated the camera. So
I did.
It looks like
panned it.
Rotational. Well, but at the same time, you also seem to have rotated.
Oh, maybe
it,
by accident I rotated a little bit. Yeah.
Pretty sure you did, and you probably rotated it right around the hand.
Yeah, because you can see there's a little curve.
Yes,
not only is there motion blur that way, there's curve up. So the hand was the center point. Isn't that funny?
Pretty much.
So you think this is okay?
It's a pretty cool picture.
It was kind of experimental for me, but I kind of liked it.
Yeah, but look at the colors, the green and the red,
the color,
and there's this person, and it's got some mystery in there because you can't really see the person because the person's in the shade. So, and there's motion. I love this. This is a beautiful picture. I would print this out, hang it up on the wall.
Oh, now I'm gonna
I'm
cry.
Dead serious.
So in one day with this lens, I've taken some pictures that are better than now I know it's not the lens. I understand what you're saying. It's revitalized my interest, but boy.
But that's. I remember getting a new instrument, a new bass guitar to play on, and all of a sudden I was playing better because the new instrument gave me a boost.
Perfect example.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Chris.
Talk to you again next week.
Okay. Bye-bye. DiscoverTheTopFloor.com. It's okay if I just do that.
Are you talking to me?
It's okay if I just use discoverthetopfloor.com, right?
Oh yeah, totally fine.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where I sell stuff.
I figure if you have one place, because they can find everything from there. Okay, good.
It is perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. See ya. Bye-bye. Our show today brought to you by our good friends at FreshBooks. What a relief it was when I discovered FreshBooks. Back in the day, when I didn't have a massive operation behind me, I had to do my own billing and invoicing and accounting and all of that stuff. I was, a freelancer. Are you a freelancer? Small business person? Do you do invoicing? You know how painful that can be if you have to fire up Word or Excel and figure it out and print it out and put it in an envelope and stamp it. I got a better way. FreshBooks.com. FreshBooks.com is awesome cloud accounting. Do all your invoices with FreshBooks. You'll get paid on average 5 days faster because FreshBooks makes it easier for your customers to pay. They support all the payment systems like Stripe and Fundbox. They also support Google Apps and PayPal and MailChimp and Zen Payroll. They even have an API so people can code their own interfaces. That's why there's so many interfaces that work with FreshBooks. You don't have to, maybe I got more complicated than that. Look, it's easy to use. You'll create your invoices. You'll mail them out. If your clients don't pay on time, they'll get automated reminders. You don't have to make that painful phone call. Your invoices will look pro, and it makes accounting so much easier. Come tax time, you can print out a report you can use or your accountant can use. It's very easy. If you bill for time and hours, that's automatic using the free FreshBooks apps for iOS and Android. And by the way, those apps also will take pictures of your receipts. So if you bill for expenses, couldn't be easier. You just put those right in the invoice. FreshBooks, it's built for a growing business. In fact, on average, FreshBook customers double their revenue in the first 24 months and get 2 days more per month to focus on the work you love. Why spend time on paperwork? Get it done with FreshBooks. It was such a relief when I found FreshBooks, and I used it for years. FreshBooks.com. And if you ever need help, you talk to real people, nice people at the FreshBook offices is best support, award-winning support. I love it. FreshBooks.com. You want it free for 30 days? Try it today. FreshBooks.com/TechGuy. Don't forget to mention the Tech Guy and how did you hear about us. FreshBooks.com/TechGuy. And we thank them so much for their support of the Tech Guy podcast. FreshBooks. Step 3, profit. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. 888-827-5536. Website, techguylabs.com. Sandy on the line from Santa Monica, California. Hi, Sandy.
Hey there. Thanks for being there.
Well, thanks for calling. Thank you for being there. It'd be kind of silly if I just had to sit here all by myself.
Well, that sounds like my life.
What can I do to help you?
I'm getting bad answers from myself.
You don't ask yourself tech questions. That's a bad idea. Even I don't ask myself. If I have a problem, I ask an expert.
All right. Well, I had this idea. I was going to use one Ethernet jack, and I wanted to run my computer, which is on FiOS, and a credit card swipe terminal. And I don't know if that's possible or not.
It's not if the swipe terminal needs to have its own internet access. I presume it does. That's why you want to plug it in. Yeah. So the idea is, this actually is a great question. We kind of gloss over it all the time. You are allowed one and only one number on the internet. It's like your phone number. If two people had your phone number, nobody would ever be able to reach you, or it'd be very confusing. It'd be like a party line. So the internet is designed in such a way that each device on the internet has a unique address, and the address is expressed as 4 numbers between 0 and 255. And there are some exceptions to, you can't use all of them, but that's roughly 65,000 per number, or is it? Yeah, 65,000 per number. So it gives you a pretty big space, but it isn't big enough for every computer on the internet. And in the old days, when you got an internet access and you said, I have 2 devices, you could say to your internet service provider, I need 2 numbers, because each one has to have a unique number. But that's not economical, and we're running out of addresses, so nobody does that anymore. Nowadays, the solution, and this is why everybody has these boxes, these routers. So the router is your connection to the internet. It has your one and only one internet address on it. But then it and this is what routing is, it gets traffic into that one address and decides which device gets it. It routes the traffic. And it allows each device on the internal network to have a unique address. So all you need is a router, and then you can use a computer, a laptop, a cell phone, and your swipe terminal all in the same time, because each appears as a different device internally. Does that make sense?
Yes, and one suggestion was to plug a router into that outlet, but then I slow my computer speed down, don't I?
No. A little bit, but not appreciably. The router is very quick. It doesn't have to do much. All it has to say is, this is how it works. You get on your laptop and you say, go to yahoo.com. The laptop translates that into a number, goes to the router, says, connect me to, it actually goes through the router, but the router makes a note as it goes through. It says, talking to Yahoo. And when messages come back from Yahoo now, it goes, oh, that was the laptop, and sends it to you. So it's not doing much. It's, it's a signaling. It's pretty quick. And the same thing when your Stripe reader said it has to go to Visa, your credit card reader. So it says, get me to Visa. The router says, okay, no problem. Doesn't get in the way, doesn't slow it down, but makes a note of it. It's not the laptop that's talking to Visa. It's the Stripe, the card reader. And it sets up a conversation between the card reader and Visa. So it's
if I did that, would I need a...
That's exactly what you need. Yeah, any cheap router will work.
Okay. Well, I didn't believe the tech guy. He was right.
Yeah, routers don't slow you down appreciably. They are there's a real advantage because neither your computer nor the card reader are on the public internet now. They're protected. The router sits between you and the outside world. That is what we call a firewall. And as a result, traffic directed to your computer that you didn't ask for just gets ignored. So bad guys can't get into your network. It's a really useful tool to have. It has some real advantages. Even if you only had one computer, I would suggest get a router. They're $30, $40.
And the fact that there's a second router out in the main office won't make a difference.
Now tell me about this. So you're not connected directly to the internet.
Oh, you're asking questions I don't have answers.
So if you, where is the internet access? Is it out in the main office?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and you connect to the internet how?
Hardwired Ethernet port.
Into the wall?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you don't need a router. Because the main office has a router.
Yes.
So now you need something simpler than a router. Even simpler. You need a switch. So a switch doesn't do any routing. It's just like an extension box that plugs one Ethernet cable into that and then two or more other Ethernet into this box. It's just, because the routing is done in the central. I'm sure that because there's other computers in the business, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah. You already have a router. You wouldn't be able to do it if you didn't already have one. All you need is what's called a switch.
And that won't that's what I've seen are wireless. Are there wired ones?
Yeah. Get them from D-Link. You're going to get a 5-port switch. It's cheap. It really won't slow you down. Doesn't do anything. It's basically like an extender. It takes one port and makes it 5.
All right, I can find them, but they all look like they're wireless, and that's...
Go on Amazon.com, search for Linksys switch. Or actually, I like D-Link. D-Link, D-Link, switch. Yeah. And you'll see hundreds of them. Get the smallest one you can, because you only need 2 ports.
Right.
They'll probably be 5-port router. They have little blinky green lights on them, let you know traffic's coming in and out. They're very pretty. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. It's basically a splitter. It's a little more sophisticated than a splitter. You could actually use a splitter, but I wouldn't. I would use a switch. Switches have a little bit more intelligence than just a plain old splitter. And Netgear's good. D-Link's good. You want metal boxes if you can, because you don't want to add interference, things like that. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't understand initially that she already had a router. You don't want 2 routers on a network. If you do have 2 routers on a network, then what you'll do with the second router is say, don't do any routing. You don't want to double route. 1 router per network is fine, but what you'll say to the second router is be a bridge, a connection, but that's all. You're in effect turning it into a switch. Paul in Lansing, Michigan. Hi, Paul. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oop. Welcome, Paul.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
just fine. Couple things. I don't know if you heard about Lightspeed. Go lightspeed.com.
I have.
They're introducing 1 gigabyte of data. Like
Yeah. Is it available in your neighborhood?
It is.
Oh,
I
man.
signed up for it, but they haven't come yet.
Yeah. So they're fiber, just like Fios, just like Google. Even Uverse in some cities is fiber. The difference between fiber and the phone lines you have right now is the amount of capacity. Fiber is
Comcast right now.
Yeah, well, Comcast is pretty. So, if I graded them in order, the least capacity is the twisted pair that your phone company put into your house 100 years ago. That was designed for voice traffic. And remember, we used modems. We'd get data over that, and it topped out at 56K. They were able to figure out how to put digital switches on it, something called ISDN, and that increased the carrying capacity, but it's still 2 wires. It's kind of limited. Next biggest thing is your cable. That's a big fat piece of copper in there that can carry a lot of data, not just TV shows, but also internet data. But even a step above that, considerably above that, is the glass fiber optic cable. And now most companies that give you fiber internet aren't in fact putting fiber optic into your house. It just depends. Some of them put fiber optic to the neighborhood and then copper to the house. Some of them put fiber optic to your garage and then copper throughout the house. It's one of the reasons is glass switches and routers are much more expensive than copper switches and routers. And by the way, somebody said in the chat room, and he's right, the lowest bandwidth is string.
I was asking. My aunt has AT&T home line. She wants to transfer that number to a cellular phone. And she went to Sprint, and they said, no, you can't do that.
Well, they're wrong. In fact, they're required to do that.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
FCC says you have to.
Yeah. Now, Sprint may not want to do that. They'd have to interface with your phone company. No one wants to talk to the phone company. Even Sprint doesn't want to talk to your phone company, but they are, as it's my understanding, maybe some exceptions, that they are required. It's called number portability, and this is something the FCC required, it's been a while now, for some years ago. And all phone companies are supposed to do it. Before this rule, you're right. The phone number belonged to the phone company, not to you. The FCC basically said, no, it belongs to you, and you can take it with you. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this. That's why Chattanooga rocks. No, he wanted to port his. Can you not port a landline to cell? I thought you could. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll correct myself. Let me look it up. Yes, you can port your landline to a cell number. By the way, that spawned a whole new industry. That was a great move, right? Thanks to number portability, you've got VoIP providers, you got all sorts of stuff that would have been really inhibited by that. People hate the FCC, and I think that that's a mistake. The FCC mandates local number portability. There are exceptions, and that's maybe I'm looking to see if maybe it's possible there's some exception that gets Sprint off the hook here. So, yeah, well, you know what? Government is you, VT Win. So if you don't trust yourself, I understand that. But United States, at least, the government is by the people, for the people. And if you abdicate your involvement in government, well, then I'm sorry. But the reason, I got to point out, the reason the FCC did this, they didn't want to do it, is because 4 million people said do it. And ultimately, as voters, we decide. Now, if you want, you can abdicate that to corporations and lobbyists and PACs. then you're right. You shouldn't trust government. But that's only because you've abdicated. The cynicism, which is widespread, I'm sad to say, is basically self-fulfilling. Get involved. If it is by the people for the people, you know what? It is. It only isn't if you don't get involved. If the electorate doesn't care, that's when big money makes a difference. But what is all that money for? To get your vote. The whole point of PACs and corporate donations is to get your vote. Your vote does matter. That's why they're spending all that money. But if you don't care, it doesn't make any difference, then it doesn't. Right? Right.
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 Get involved.
You can change the
rules. They want you to be sleepy and what's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah.
They want you to give up.
Yeah. And there's I support Larry Lessig's move to, look, campaign finance reform, huge. We've got to get big money out of government. I agree. But ultimately, if you all cared and did the research and voted and paid attention, the money wouldn't matter. The reason the money matters, people go, it doesn't matter. I have no say. I have no voice. Or they just don't do. They watch campaign ads and say, I think I'll vote for that. But the very reason the FCC approved this is because of 4 million people took the time to go to the FCC.gov site and say, enact Title II regulation. And that's a lot of votes. That's why Obama came out for it. He had been, during the election, he paid lip service to it, but he did nothing until 4 million comments. And all of a sudden, Title II regulation, good idea. If you care, you count. But if you go around and say, it doesn't matter, yeah, you're right. Congratulations.
You just lost.
You just lost.
By a wide margin.
Yeah.
That's great, too, because so many people were like, net neutrality confuses me, Even
we did our best to explain this.
Yeah.
I did my best to explain it in an unbiased way. I wanted everybody to have the facts and judge for themselves. So we had many a debate with both sides, and we really did our best to kind of educate, because it is complicated. And I'm frankly baffled in many ways. But it's pretty clear to me that AT&T, Verizon, Comcast were not going to act in our interest
Exactly.
ever.
I would say that would be the bottom line. But this guy I work with, who I think is really smart and bright in all other respects, goes, well, the government just screwed us again today or something like that after the vote. And I'm like, wait, no, this is what we wanted, right, Jordan?
Yeah.
And then I explained it to him, and he was like, oh, right on.
The FCC commissioners serve at the pleasure of the president, who's an elected official. The FCC absolutely cares about the electorate, believe me.
Who was it? Giuliani said Obama doesn't love
He doesn't love America.
Oh, he doesn't love it.
He doesn't love America.
It's a contest.
I love
by the
America.
way. Who loves America
I love it
more?
more.
I do.
I wore the
Nope,
flag.
me.
Why didn't you wear the flag? The proof in the pudding is that Tom Wheeler, who, as John Oliver called him, is a dingo watching your baby, came from the cable industry, was in the Hall of Fame for the National Cable Television Association and the wireless industry. There was no one more likely to support the financial interests of the cable and telephone companies than Tom Wheeler. And even he changed his mind after 4 million votes came in.
Thank you. The light bulb went off above his head.
I mean, the very fact that Tom Wheeler is carrying the torch for internet neutrality is amazing. And I think that's a direct reflection of the very strong involvement. A lot of us who are activists who care a lot about the internet and said, you better care. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers and the internet, home theater, smartphones, digital photography, anything with a chip in it. If it's on your mind, I'd love to talk to you. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. 888-827-5563. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Our website, techguylabs.com. That's where you'll find everything we talk about. You don't have to write anything down. Just one thing, tech, or maybe memorize this, techguylabs.com. Everything else you need to know is there. The phone number, the link to the chat room, all the questions, all the answers, even audio and video after the fact. And you know what? It's free. Then you don't have to sign up. You point your browser and you're there. TechGuyLabs.com. Ron, Tustin, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Ron.
Hey, Ron. How you doing?
No, I'm Ron. You're Leo. No, wait a minute. I'm confused. What can I do for you, Ron?
All right. So my son's high school lacrosse team has this account on thecube.com. Are you familiar with that?
How's that spelled?
CUBE.
Thecube.com. No, I don't. I'm not familiar. Is it a social network?
No. Well, I think they incorporate some sort of social into it, but it's a way to live stream your games.
And it's designed mainly for high school sports, it looks like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I have a Nikon Z3200.
Mm-hmm.
And I got this thing that takes the video cables and hooks them to my computer through USB, because the live feed, when I connected it with the regular USB that came with the camera, wouldn't work. And what
USB is not designed for a live feed.
Well, so what this thing does is it takes the component video and makes it plug into your computer through a USB. It's designed to do this. And then they use Adobe Flash encoder.
Right. So here's the deal. Your camera has to get live video out. Most camcorders don't do it via USB, because the USB connector is really more for getting stills out or copying data over. Live video might come out of your camcorder over the HDMI port. Do you have an HDMI port?
I do, but my computer...
No, I understand. I know the issue. Just follow along with me. So you've got to do what your camera can do. So that means HDMI out of the camera. Now you have to get it somehow into the computer so it can encode it and stream it to the cube.
Right.
So you need an HDMI converter, what is basically a video capture device.
Sure, okay. So I was looking on the internet for that and couldn't find one.
Oh, yeah, there's lots of them.
There are. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But actually, it worked great yesterday.
Some computers, by the way, have HDMI in. You don't need to do this, but most computers don't.
Okay. So it worked great, except for one thing. The display, that shows the focus box and how much battery life I have and everything else came through the feed.
Yeah, that's no good.
And so I was getting these...
I would look in the menu and see if you could turn that off. Most camcorders, you can turn that off.
I could turn everything except the focus box off.
Well, that's nice. What kind of camcorder is it?
It's a Nikon D3200. So
it's not a camcorder. It's a DSLR. I get it.
Right, but it takes. I use it as a camcorder because it takes pretty good video too.
Yeah, it also may be an issue on the camcorder. Most camcorders will only shoot a maximum of 30 minutes. I don't know about that particular Nikon.
Well, no, so that's fine because
it doesn't shut down after 30 minutes.
Yeah, I turn it off to conserve battery after every quarter anyway. So that's
all right. I got it. Okay.
So my question is, what camcorder can I use so that the people won't see what's actually?
Yeah, that's annoying.
Through?
I'm surprised that you can't turn off that focus box on the live video.
I looked on the internet everywhere, and I'm thinking that it just can't be done because it's a DSLR camera. So I'm thinking they've made it so you can't take the focus off.
No, I don't know why they do that. Most of the time it's called a clean feed is what you want. Most of the time when you're taking HDMI out of a camera, what you want is a clean feed.
Maybe the HDMI one would work. Like I said, I had to go from the component video into this USB device that accepted it.
You're taking component out, yeah.
So like I said, I tried to find HDMI converter into USB and couldn't find it because my laptop has HDMI out, but not HDMI in.
Well, I'm looking at a variety of products. Go to Amazon or Walmart sells them. I try monoprice.com. They offer very inexpensive solutions. There are quite a few solutions that do HDMI to USB. You want HDMI to USB.
Right.
They're not going to be cheap because it has to do some video conversion. They're going to be over $100. But I see a variety of companies, including Blackmagic. We use a lot of Blackmagic converters in our
I found
business.
Blackmagic,
Yeah.
and they say they don't work with Dells.
Thank you, Blackmagic.
Exactly. I think, and they're blaming it on Dell, obviously.
Yeah. Well, so there are a couple of issues. How do we get a clean feed? I would first, before you spend any money on an HDMI to USB converter, look and see if the Nikon does give you a clean feed out of HDMI. One way to do that would be plug it into your TV.
Okay.
You have an HDMI TV, I'm sure. You could plug, just plug the camcorder to your TV and do it live. All of them, when you're playing back video, will just show you the video. That's the point for most camcorders of having an HDMI port is recorded video. But if it has live HDMI out, increasingly we're seeing cameras do that because people are saying, oh, people want to do live streaming. So plug in, turn on the camera, start shooting video of your living room, plug it into the TV, see what you see. If it's a clean feed, if there's nothing on it, then I would go out and buy a converter. Part of the problem of HDMI to USB is that USB isn't really fast enough for all of the data the HDMI is pumping into it. So is it USB 3 on your Dell?
Yes. It's,
okay. That
that
is fast enough. So if you get a converter that goes, what you want is HDMI to USB 3. Those will be newer, but that's fast enough.
That's what I Googled, and that's the only thing that I was able to find was that Blackmagic. And they said it didn't work
Isn't
with
that
them.
weird? I don't know why that would be. HDMI to USB 3. Well, I would try monoprice.com. They're going to be very affordable.
Okay.
USB 3 to HDMI is not what you want. I see some of those. You want to go in the opposite direction. It may be, this stuff takes time to develop. I don't know why. You'd think they do it right away, and it may be that USB 3 is new enough that nobody's made an adapter yet for it. But I'll bet, you know what? The chat room will find something. They're so good at this.
I mean, I'm willing to pick up just a camcorder. That might be a better option, too.
Well, and many camcorders will do this, too. What you're looking for, just so you know, as you look at the specs, is live HDMI out, and you want a clean feed.
And we'll say clean feed?
Yeah, but you have I'm pretty sure you have a clean feed. And you can tell that, just plug it in the TV. But a USB out of a camcorder almost never is for video. It's for copying files, it's for getting stills, but video is so fat that you don't want to transfer video out via USB. Not live, not in real time. Right. That's why it takes longer to copy the file from the camera than it does. It doesn't do it in real time. A second of video takes 2 seconds to copy because you can't. Live is hard to do at that. You don't have the bandwidth to do it. Dell even sells HDMI to USB 3 converters, I'm told. So there you go.
So try the Dell website.
Yeah. So the first thing to do, plug your camera into your TV. Make sure that what you're seeing is what you want. Live video. And if it does that, I'm sure it will. I'm almost certain it'll do that. If it does that, and you may have to look in the menus. Then you want to get the converter, and because you don't want to spend money on that converter box if you're not getting what you need. 8888, ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls right after this. Yeah, I like the new USB, but I don't think it's really out. It's out in spec. Has anybody put it in a computer? You could use a Teradek. Sure. You could do all sorts of things. God knows we've solved that problem 800 ways from Sunday.
That's great.
I even have daffodils on my Twitter background back in those days. I'm such a Welshman. Richard Burton was a Welshman. And I grew up listening to A Child's Christmas in Wales. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888, ask Leo. Going back to the phones, David in Herndon, Virginia. Hi, David.
How are you today, sir?
I am well.
I'm hoping that you can help my mind. I've been working on a problem here that's I've checked everywhere. I've Googled till my fingers are blue.
Uh-oh.
Have you ever heard something called Google Redirects?
Google Redirects. Why? What happened?
Well, I'll go, I'll do a Google search, and then there'll be a place to go to, and I click on it, and up in the URL box it says Google Redirects, and this big long URL at the end. It never goes anywhere, and the research I've done says that it is a malware / virus.
Yeah, it's not from Google. This is a common practice of malware writers or virus writers, is to invoke the name of trusted companies, so you will go, oh, well, this must be all right. So a redirect is a technique that's used widely on the web. When you enter one address, it redirects you to another. Used by websites, for instance, that have changed their location, or page links that have changed and things like that. The Google Redirects virus is trying to redirect you to either malware-laden pages or advertising pages. So you have a type of malware called a browser redirect. You get it by installing software that it comes with, and unfortunately, increasingly, sites that one would think are legitimate, like download.com, are putting this kind of stuff on there. Lenovo got a lot of attention for putting stuff on its Lenovo laptops that did something similar to this. So you may have gotten it completely innocently. You do have to be careful as you surf around the net. And one of the reasons that I tell people who use Windows not to run as an administrator is exactly this. In order for this to have installed, if you were logged in only as a limited or standard user, it would have said, well, you need an administrator password before I can modify your browser's behavior, and that might have been a red flag to you. Now, once you get stuff like this, in some cases, you can just uninstall it. If you get it from a site like download.com, one of the ways they get around being called a virus is by giving you an uninstall entry in the ad remove programs.
I have checked everywhere.
You don't see it anywhere. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And I've checked the registry. I've checked. There are several places on the internet said, well, this is how you get rid of it. And I followed every step. And
none of that's worked. Well, these bad guys don't want you to remove it, so whenever they see a way to remove it, they say, well, it's not, okay, we're going to fix that. So as these viruses evolve, and viruses evolve as fast as, the common cold, they're constantly improving, I'll put that in quotes, to make it harder to remove them. So it's very common that the techniques that you see on the web to remove something stop working, because the person who figured it out. Now, do you have an antivirus on your system?
Yes, sir. I have Non32.
And when you scan with Non32, it doesn't see it?
No, sir. And I even tried Malware Bytes. Nothing there. I've tried everything I can find. And
well, there's a couple of ways something like this can work. One is very simple. It's going to be a browser extension. So you're using which browser?
Chrome.
So you can go into your Chrome settings and look at the extensions that are installed. You may even just see it there. Which case?
Well, I tried that too.
You don't see it.
I guess the best thing to do is just go in and take them all out. And then
well, wait, because if it's not showing up anywhere, if the antiviruses don't see it, you don't see it by name in the browser extensions, then this is something nasty. And in fact, there are versions of this browser redirectors that install as what we call a rootkit. A rootkit is about as bad as it can get. It is software that installs itself in such a way that the operating system can't see it. It modifies the way the operating system works so that if the operating system looks in that area of the hard drive, it can't see it. It's like a blind spot. This sounds like one of those, a rootkit. Which once you get a rootkit, even the antivirus software can't see it, because the antivirus software uses the operating system to scan the drives. So a rootkit is a sign of such a severe infection that my recommendation is, I hate to tell you this.
I know what you're going to say.
You know where I'm going with this.
I'm holding my fingers up in a cross on you right
Please don't make me nuke it. You're going to have to nuke it and reinstall Windows. There are rootkit remover programs. There is a program from Microsoft called Rootkit Revealer You might start doing some research on rootkits. Mark Rasinovich, who wrote the sysinternals tools, has, I believe, a rootkit revealer tool that he's written. It's at the Microsoft site, so you can trust it, Microsoft.com. It's Microsoft.com/sysinternals. But frankly, I think there's even more risk running Malwarebytes and some of these other tools. You got to be careful about nowadays. Everything can bite you, and so if you don't get it from Microsoft, a really trusted source, you got problems. Let me just see sysinternals. I'm pretty sure they have a rootkit revealer. I seem to remember that. But if not, you can search around for one. I just be careful because sometimes malware disguises itself as anti-malware.
Would you have time for a short question?
Sure.
You have Office 365, correct?
Yes.
How much disk space do they give you on OneDrive?
Now, if you have Office 360, I was told, and I haven't yet seen confirmation of this, but our Windows experts, we do a show called Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott
I watch them
and Mary Jo Foley. It's their understanding that Microsoft intends to give you unlimited storage if you're an Office 365 subscriber.
But this was like 6 or 8 months ago. They said, yes, it's coming, but it hasn't.
I have so much now that I don't even notice. Let me just look at my OneDrive and see. Yeah, see, I have 10 terabytes. It'd be pretty hard to use 10 terabytes with an online storage thing. It may be that it doesn't say infinite, but it may say a number that's so ginormous that it's effectively infinite. As far as I'm concerned, 10 terabytes on OneDrive, I'm never going to be able to fill that. 1 terabyte might be more than I could fill up. So I don't know. What are you seeing on your OneDrive?
I see 1 terabyte.
It's my understanding that what they do say is 10 terabytes, and then after 10, if you do fill that up, they go, okay, you're going to have more. But they don't think anybody's going to ever fill that up.
Well, you don't think they'd let me put my Plex stuff up there, do you?
No. And you don't want to because of the amount of time it would take to upload it. Remember, one of the things that's a limiting factor here is not how much storage you have in the cloud, is how do you get to it and how fast your internet connection is. Remember, it's your upstream connection that matters. Uploading more than a terabyte would take a long, long time. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, you have to complete, yeah. Obviously, you have to pay for Office 365. If you're getting a free trial, that's not paying for Office 365. Are you saying Squarespace is down? No. Nice try, though. Yeah, what is that? What is that? Somebody tweeted me that. Due to TWIT policies, no IRC. What is that? Where are you seeing that? Oh, I'm sorry, due to TWIT policy. We haven't changed our policy, so I don't know what he's talking about. And the guy who tweeted this, unfortunately, didn't give me enough information. What is that I'm looking at? That's nothing I know about. Twitcast removed on-screen trap. Well, I don't control Twitcast, and Mark is his own man. I don't know what he's talking about, and he's not. So this is in Twitcast? So here's the good news. When the new site goes up in a few months, Chromecast will be supported by all of our players. We're moving to the JW player, and that'll have Chromecast support. So you'll be able to Chromecast from anything that can stream it. And we are, I think it's part of our, part of the new website is going to be a redesign of, we're going to do official apps. I think we're going to start with iOS, but we're going to do official apps as quickly as we can. And I think part of our spec for the official apps is Chromecast. I'm pretty sure it is. So what? It says you can participate in the chat room, but now they're saying, I don't think we've changed. our IRC policies. But to be honest, the IRC is run as a community effort. So we provide an IRC server, but it's, all of the chat mods are volunteers. They're not volunteering for me. They're volunteering as a community to do this. We love them, and we thank them. But the chat is really kind of the Twit community put together. We give you a server, but they run the server, they do the server. I don't really know. But you know what? Who would know is there's Houdini 7. The chat mods would know. So we haven't changed anything because we don't have any Twit IRC policy. So I don't know what Mark's talking about. I just don't know. We don't have we have IRC rules, which we did not write. The chat mods are responsible for those. We want that to be a community-run thing. No, we have not changed web designers. We've worked it out with 4 Kitchens. What we've decided to do is we're going to do. I'm really thrilled. We're going to do a 1.0 that is the base model. Then we're going to do we'll let you guys in on a private beta on 1.0, and then we'll do a 1.1, and then we'll have to decide for the amount of money we have what we get in 1.2. We have a certain number of, they use Agile, so it's described as points. We have a certain number of points. So we're going to figure out what cool new stuff we can do. But the basic site is going to be great. And the API is going to exist. In fact, Craig, Houdini 7, is going to have access to the API soon and give us some feedback on it. So we're very excited. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, built to answer your questions. Mark in Costa Mesa, California. You're next. Hi, Mark.
Leo, love your show. It's great to be talking to you.
Thanks for listening.
So my New Year's resolution is to get my digital photos all organized.
That's been my New Year's resolution every year since 2008.
That's where I am. It's snowballed into quite a problem here. And I've got raw files that I've done global adjustments on and saved them as JPEGs, and then edited those and resaved them under a different name.
Oh, you got a mess.
Yeah. So is there anything that will kind of look at the duplicates in there and help me sort this out?
Picasa, I think, has some deduping. I'd be very nervous. The good news is storage is cheap. And so I wouldn't be too persnickety about getting rid of duplicates because of the risk of getting rid of the wrong duplicate. What if you got rid of the raw, for instance, the original? That would be bad. I guess what you should do is probably make a single drive with all the raw files, just the originals. Those are the originals, the raw files. You could dedupe based on name, because there would be duplication in the name on that one. You haven't renamed those.
Right.
And there are certainly file-level dedupers that do a great job, and just clean up the raws. Maybe push the JPEGs aside, put them somewhere else, and I've done this, and start over with the raws. Now you have because that's what you care most about, right? Any adjustments you made, you could roughly remake. You don't want to lose the originals. Those are the negatives. You don't want to lose those. Lightroom, I think, will give you some deduping. Chat room saying Lightroom has some capabilities, Picasa or Lightroom. But again, I'm very nervous about accidentally deleting something you want. And since hard drives, I mean, I don't care how many pictures you've taken, it can't be more than a couple of terabytes. Is it?
No, I doubt it is. And part of it's just sorting that out. I've got a laptop from 10 years ago. I've got a laptop from 5 years ago. I've got memory cards all over the place.
Well, one way to do it,
running out the door to an event, and I'll just copy that to the hard drive. And
one way to do it, this would be an idea, is get a single. You're going to make one canonical hard drive. This is the reference hard drive. Get a big one. Get a 3 terabyte. Plug it in, and then do you use Lightroom?
No, I use Capture One.
I'm not familiar with that. But it may do the same thing. Lightroom certainly will do this. But basically start an import process where you take all your drives and you import it, and tell Lightroom or your program to organize the file structure on this new master drive by date. Because the date's stored in the EXIF, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And even on the JPEGs, the extended information data should be intact. And so if you say, look, I want you to go through all of these photos and put them in folders, year, month, day. Now, you go into a day, you may see 3 copies of the same file, but you'll at least have it kind of in that definitive calendar structure. And I think that might help you dedupe down the road. And then I would keep all of your raw files. They have a unique extension. It's different for every camera, but and sometimes even within cameras it's different. You know what I do, and Lightroom will do this, I don't know about Capture One, is I convert everything to Adobe's DNG format, which is a raw format that is kind of universal. And that's part of my ingress process. When I save photos, I have them converted to DNG. That way, I know I'll be always able to read them because that's a standard format. And then I can have a unique DNG for every photo. If you've got whatever your file name is, -1, -2, -3, just get rid of those and keep the original. But I would do this so carefully because what you don't want to get rid of is, that one beautiful photo that you only have one copy of. There are numerous duplicate cleaners. You want something that looks into the contents, but that's not even going to be easy because if you've modified, so let's say you have the original and you make a JPEG, those two will never match already. Now you modify the JPEG, any modifications aren't going to match. So those are all unique from the point of view of any file deduper. They're all, the only thing the file deduper will get rid of is ones that are exactly the same. The contents are exactly the same. That would be a DNG 1, 2, and 3. It will dedupe those. And so you can do that by, you could go folder to folder and say everything from last year that has, that is extension 1, 2, or 3, get rid of, that kind of thing. This is, I'd be judicious and not be too persnickety about getting rid of duplicates. Storage is cheap. As long as you have a master copy of all the originals, then I wouldn't worry too much. Just a thought. To answer your question, no, I don't know of anything that's going to do this flawlessly, perfectly, and easily. Same problem, people. We get this question a lot. I get this question a lot from music libraries. Over the years, it's very common to have multiple copies of songs. If you had 17 terabytes of video, that would be a problem. Video is a much bigger file size, and it's very easy to go over 3 terabytes or more with video. But if it's just still pictures, even RAWs, I have 50 or 60,000 photos, and it's still under a terabyte. Graphic Converter, says Feld. Graphic Converter, which is a great program, can find exact duplicates or set a slider to match images with slight differences. That's nice. Graphic Converter. That's a Mac program. Photo Sweeper, says Gardner, does the same thing. A slider that says, well, it has to be an exact match. Or if it looks mostly the same, these will be a little slower because they'll actually compare the images. So there's a couple in there. You know what? The Ultimate Deduplicator Software is another one for this date and time in the chat room is passed along. We're going to collate all these chat room suggestions, put them in the website, techguylabs.com. techguylabs.com. Moving along, Joe in Los Angeles, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Joe.
Hi, Leo. How you doing? I want you to know I have a lot of respect for what you do.
Thank you.
I'm kind of a inventor kind of a guy, and my question for you is, I have a boat. It's a sport fishing boat. Virtually almost all of the sport fishing boats, or boats that are what are called express boats, don't have windshields. And I bought a 4K television, a Samsung 4K television, and I'm thinking about utilizing 3, maybe 4 televisions to make a virtual windshield.
Are you pulling my leg?
No. A virtual windshield, and using GoPro cameras.
You wouldn't even have to be out on the deck. You could be deep within the hold.
What?
You don't even have to be on the deck of the boat. You could be in the hold.
I know. But the way they manufacture sport fishing boats are without front windshield. Yet they're set up in a way that you could utilize 3, 4. You could probably even do it with 1 television. But I want to actually make it look like a windshield.
Yeah, well, if you had 4K TVs all around, all you need is 180 degrees. And, GoPro cameras will give you a good image quality. They're kind of wide angle. You can change the angle. So you stud some 4 Pros around there. There shouldn't 4 GoPros or 5 GoPros. You know, I mean, there's analogs for this. The drones that we fly over the rest of the world are flown by young men in Las Vegas and other places. And those guys are sitting in the basement looking at cameras, and they're flying the little planes around. When, you know, occasionally I'll fly on a 777 or a nice fancy, the Dreamliner, new aircraft, and they have cameras. You can watch us land. You can watch us. They have cameras from the front, the back, the side. Even my car has enough cameras. I probably could drive it without looking at the windshield. I'm not sure how to help you do this, but I think it's an interesting idea. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And don't sue me if you crash.
And have pictures of the outside of the monitors. He wants to put monitors up where the windshield would be.
No, I don't think. I hope he's not thinking of the monitors as a windshield, but he must be, because he keeps saying they don't have windshield. They don't have windshields.
Yeah, and he kept saying, well, you can put it down the hole. And he was saying,
Don't put it up there, because the monitor will a little sea spray and the whole thing goes.
you probably buy maybe some glass.
Or how about a windshield? You know, there's nothing more realistic if you think about it. Forget 4K. There's nothing more realistic than a pane of transparent glass. It's almost 3D. It's so realistic. You feel like you're there. Now, if he doesn't want to be on the deck, then I understand. If he wants to be in the hold, but you definitely don't want to put 4K monitors up on the deck where they're going to get wet. So let's go down inside. Yeah, frankly, you don't even need to be in the boat. Why? Just stay at home. I think I can't. I don't have any help for him. I don't think this is not really a technical question. Oculus Rift, wouldn't that be awesome? Or yeah, you. Oh my. Glass, graphic, logistic, and C systems. Transparent, virtually 3D. Ship sim. I don't know, user 9960, we were talking about this. First of all, the Twitcast app, Mark Hansen's Twitcast app, is not made by us. It's made by Mark. I don't know why. I don't know what is going on. I didn't turn it off. We don't know. So, I don't know. As yet, we do not have our own apps. We've been relying on the kindness of strangers like Mark, Craig Mullaney, Houdini7 in our chat room, Dimitri Lealin. These guys have done a great job. We did pay Craig to do a Roku app, which he very kindly did a very nice job of. So that actually is, I guess, technically an official app. But all the rest are just done by fans. I think, you know, one of the reasons we're doing the web redesign, first of all, our website is broken horrifically. It's embarrassing, in fact. So we wanted to redesign the website anyway. And one of the things we did, which was really, you know, kind of new, is we've always had a Drupal site. The Tech Guy Labs is a Drupal site, but we're going to do this one a little bit differently. The company we're working with has experience doing something they call headless Drupal. So instead of and this is why it's expensive, what we're designing is not a website, but a Drupal system that has an API. So you can say, give me a list of all the last 10 Tech Guy shows and metadata associated with, or give me a list of hosts, or give me a list of all shows Leo Laporte's on, or there are quite a few calls. And the website is actually Node.js, a front end using Node.js that is a client of the API, and the apps will be the same. So we're doing something a little differently. So now that we have an API, I think we may start to address this app issue with our own custom apps. And then I could say, well, let's fix it. But other than that, I can't. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. I also would add to Joe, who wants, what Joe wants to do is, in his sport fishing boat, mount GoPros around the front and have them connected to 4K TVs, and then steer the boat, not looking through the windshield because they don't have windshields, but through his 4K TVs. I wouldn't recommend having the 4K TVs and the GoPros out in the environment, because the sea air is just going to ruin them. You know, it's just going to ruin. They're not designed to be out in the sea air. And then you know the corrosive effect of the ocean. So, in fact, nautical equipment is specially designed to survive the hostile environment of the sea. But maybe he wants to put the cameras outside. GoPros do have waterproof housings. I guess you could probably do it with their waterproof housings and run wires down into the hold, or, you know, into a cabin. You could steer the boat from the cabin. I don't think there'd any special equipment be needed. The GoPro outputs. Does the GoPro output live video? I don't know. It does. Yeah, right. And you just hook it up to the TV. One GoPro per TV. Don't really recommend it. We're barely getting driverless cars down. I don't think driverless boats are quite yet perfected. Mike, Paris, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Leo. How you doing? Big fan.
Thank you.
I was calling in regards to, right now, currently I have an SG4, and I don't know whether I should get the SG6, speaking of the Samsung Galaxy, or the Note, so I don't have to carry a tablet and a phone around. And I just use.
I'm a Note fan. I use the Galaxy Note 4, but it is it's a little older. They just announced the Galaxy S6 today, and it will be available April 10th on all the major U.S. carriers plus U.S. Cellular. They didn't announce a price. It looks great, but it's not big. It's 5.1 inches. So the Galaxy Note 4 is almost 6 inches, 5 3/4 inches. So it's if what you want to do is replace a tablet. Oh, and by the way, the Galaxy Note 4 has a stylus, which the Note 6 does not have. It also supports SD cards and removable batteries, which the new one won't. And the Note 4 is available now. So I'd get a Note 4. I mean, if you're asking me to choose for you, I'd get a Note 4. The S6 looks beautiful. I can't wait to get one. But it's not going to do everything a Note does. And I don't think it's going to be a tablet replacement. It's really more of a phone.
And the other thing, too, I was worried about was that I saw that my son got an S5, and there was some features that weren't featured. I heard you talking about it earlier that weren't on. They were on the S4, but they weren't on the S5, and there was kind of a downfall in sales. And
yeah, the S5 was a flop, relatively. I mean, they sold millions, but didn't sell as many millions as they'd hoped to. I think the S6 is a response to that. I think the S6. I reviewed the S5. I've had all the Notes. I've had a Galaxy S3, which was really an amazing phone, a real breakthrough phone. The S4 was pretty good. The S5, no reason to get this. But the S6 does look a lot better and has a really good camera. They're doing some interesting things. The fingerprint reader is improved. You know, on the current Galaxy phones, you have to swipe a finger down the home button to get a fingerprint reading, kind of like the old days of laptops. But the new one apparently is more like Apple's Touch ID, where you just rest your finger on the reader and that's sufficient. That would be a nice improvement. I think there are going to be reasons to get the S6. It's certainly going to be faster, putting a much more modern chip in there. Only 3 gigs of RAM. That's the same as the Note 4. Can't remember what the S5 had.
Yeah, I'm more weighing towards the new Galaxy Note. And
I love the Note 4. Now, I don't know when the next Note will come out. They're in stagger step. So
I like that. So I don't want to be that guy driving home and they're putting up the billboard for the new Note 7.
Can't promise anything. I am that guy. Happens to me all the time. I buy something and the next day the new one comes out. That's kind of the hazard. When did they announce the Note 4? I would say that you could pretty much assume they're going to be 1 year apart. So I don't know when Samsung announced the Note 4, but I would guess it was in the fall. Does anybody know in the chat room?
The other question I was going to ask was, what about between the newer Note 4 and the Note Edge? And then I see one.
Well, let me explain that also. By the way, the Note 4 was announced at IFA in Berlin, which was September. So I would get, in other words, it's only 6 months old. I would guess that they're not going to replace that for another 6 months. So the Note 4 is the current Note, and that's the one. I love it. I'm very happy with it. But if you can wait till April and you don't mind paying a premium, I bet it would be pretty expensive, I would look at the 6. Now, the 6 has 2 models. It has a standard one, flat screen, kind of. They've improved the design. It's much more elegant than the S4 and S5. Less plasticky, more metal. But the other model, the S6 Edge, is very interesting. The screen curves on both sides. Now, it's not like the current Galaxy Edge, which I do not like and do not recommend. That is a 2-screen design. There's one flat screen and one curved screen on the right edge of the phone. This is not what they've done this time. There's a single screen that's literally bent around the phone. My friend Andy Anatko said it's kind of like the infinity pool, you know, it just goes off over the edge. Looks beautiful. I think it might be a really great design. It's not 3 screens, though. It's 1 screen that bends as opposed to the current one, which is 2 screens. The bent part is a separate screen.
And that's to be for shortcuts for whatever you set it up for, your email, your whatever. And stuff
Yeah.
like that, correct?
Yeah, it's kind of, and they apparently can do that same thing with the Galaxy 6 Edge. By using a feature of the screens types they use. They use Super AMOLED screens, and those can be illuminated in just one portion of the screen. So that's how they're making that curved edge can actually light up. But unlike the current Edge, it doesn't. You can't tap icon. It's not live, I think. There are some limitations on it. So it's not as user configurable. But, you know, I played with the current version of the Edge, and I was very underwhelmed. I did not think it was a good idea. And apparently Samsung agreed, because even though they're using the same name, it's a very different technology.
It almost seems kind of worrisome for me that if I do drop it and it happens to land on its side, it's just going to...
Well, it'll be, yeah, that's a lot of glass.
Yeah, exactly.
That phone is glass on 3 of its 4 edges, so much more likely to shatter. They do make cases. You'd probably want to look at the Galaxy cases if you're going to get the Edge. I don't know. That's a good question. They're using the new Gorilla Glass 4. They say it's the hardest Gorilla Glass ever. But, you know, this is another issue with glass. The harder the glass is, the more brittle it is. So you can make glass tough, but you can't make it shatterproof. That's plastic. So I don't know exactly, you know, we're just going to, look, the Note 4 has been out long enough. There's plenty of reviews. I understand it. I know it. I love it. I support it. I think it's a great choice. It's not a guessing game. The 6, it's going to be a month or 2 from now before you see enough reviews to know, is this what I want? And it'll be even longer before you know if it breaks, you know, by somebody blowing on it, because we don't know yet. We don't have them.
Yeah, so I'm going with the Galaxy Note 4.
That's what I would do.
There's one, and should I just keep my S4 as a primary phone?
I'd keep it a no. The Note 4 is going to be your phone.
Oh, okay.
It's not so huge. You're thinking, oh, this thing's so big, I'm not going to carry it around. I keep it in my breast pocket, my side pocket. It's not that big.
Okay.
You quickly get used to it.
I think it's your opinion there. Well, one more question I have been using PDF in like Acrobat Reader or whatever like that, and I use it, and I have it update every time when I'm near the Wi-Fi. But I want to know if I can move my files without any malware, or if there is any malware, will Google One or Google Drive detect that?
So PDF files are not malware unless they're specifically crafted to be malware, and you're using a broken version of Reader, of Adobe Reader. So if you're using the most recent patched version, even if you have a malware PDF, it's harmless. It has to be specially crafted for a specific bug in Adobe Reader. And there's one more thing you can do that will even protect you further. There's a setting in Adobe Reader that says you can run applications. Turn that off.
Okay.
Turn that off, and now you're much safer. And if you want to even go one step further, just don't have it auto-launch when the browser sees a PDF. Only launch it because you say, I want to launch it. And I think you're going to be much, much safer there. Hey, I appreciate the call. I appreciate your help. Nathan Staten, our musical director, Heather Hammond, the phone ranger. Thank you for being here. I'll see you next week. Have a great Geek Week. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.